Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
Everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, May the 11th, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, Mr. Lug Nutz.
Hello, Mr. Lug Nutz. How are you doing today? I'm doing fine. Excellent. How are you doing?
I love when you have self-conversation. It's wonderful.
That's the only time I ever enjoy conversation with another human being.
You don't even need a mirror. Just a camera on your computer.
Oh, no, never a mirror. It's hard enough looking at yourself on these things.
This is true. This is true. So how are you on this fine, mid-evening?
I'm good.
In Denver?
I'm a little tired. It's been a long day, but other than that, I'm okay. You know,
Yes.
getting cautiously optimistic
About
my New York Yankees' ability to win close games against good teams, at least early on in the season.
Gotcha.
And again, cautiously optimistic, very cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I'm not too happy about. I should be happy about the Mets, right?
Mets are off to a great start. What are they?
Great start.
Second or third best record in baseball?
Second or third best record in baseball. I
think it's the Yankees, Dodgers, Mets. There's somebody else in there, and then the Milwaukee Brewers.
Let's see.
And of course, we're splitting hairs here because we're talking about one or two games, but I believe the Yankees have 22 wins now, 22-8. The Dodgers are 20-10, if my memory serves me correctly. Or yes,
the Yankees are 22-8. The Angels are 21-11.
There you go.
The Mets are 21-10. About to be 21-11 because they're Tyler McGill shut the bed tonight.
Yeah.
He came out. He lasted an inning and a third. Gave up 8 runs in an inning and a third. So I mean, this big, strong guy, filling in for DeGrom so well in 5 or 6 starts, and then he looks like me or you going out there.
Well, what are you gonna do?
And the Brewers are 20-12, and the Dodgers are 20-9. So technically, the Mets have the second best record in baseball right now.
Well, if you're looking at it by percentages, which we can do here in a second, I think you're wrong.
It's second. I got you. Yeah, by percentages, yes, the Mets are the third.
Yes.
By percentages, Mets are third by percentages. By win total, they are second. But yeah, by percentages.
Yes. Yeah. Overall, we have the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Mets are third. You are correct. It's actually tied for second. The Angels and then the Astros just crept up ahead of Milwaukee.
There you go. And who'd have thought the Twins leading the AL Central right now?
6 games, about 500. Cleveland's obviously, hovering around 500.
White Sox, same thing. They're at 500.
Yeah, that division's obviously not as strong, at least out of the gate, as we thought it was going to be. And the Padres are putting on a pretty good show. The National League West is, and the American League East. I think we were pretty accurate in saying that those are
strong divisions.
Really some tough divisions to maneuver around in.
Exactly.
Milwaukee doesn't surprise me. They have really great pitching and we'll see if they can just translate that into anything past the regular season. They seem to have a hard time even getting into the first round of the playoffs, but we'll see. Boston's obviously going to improve. I think, Tampa Bay has looked really good, but they're, none of these teams are going to go away really easily. And some of the teams that I think are just too good to really falter are going to bounce back. But I mean, look, it's who would have thought that I would not have guessed that the Yankees would have a 4.5 game lead over Tampa Bay.
No.
And an 11 game lead over the Red Sox and a 6 game lead over Toronto.
Yeah.
Who's been a little bit of a tailspin. Now, all of that can change very quickly. I don't think these mean a lot. But look, the Yankees have, other than the Mets, the Yankees have the biggest lead against any second place team. All of the other divisions are a little bit more bottled up towards the top.
Yep.
So we shall see. It's been a good start. they've done something this year, my Yankees, that they did not do last year, and that is that they were able to create runs at the end of the game, coming back, and their pitching has been spectacular. I still cringe at the concept of Aroldis Chapman in October. He's proven to be absolutely horrible in big games. And I hope maybe the Yankees can learn to not have to rely on him too much. But their starting pitching has been spectacular, and I think they're going to get more healthy in that position. So it
looks that way, and the fact and their offense too. I mean, when they in 4 games they scored 6 runs over the weekend, and they won 2 of them. So the offense was way down in run production. I mean, it's an average of 1.5 runs a game. And they split, and they won 2 of the 4 games.
It concerns me a little bit.
It means the pitching was there. That's what it means. So
it means the pitching was there. I think some of the concerns were premature about Garrett Cole. He's looked pretty damn good in his last 2 starts.
His first 2 were horrible. So
Nestor Cortez, but he's looked great in the last 2.
Absolutely.
And Nestor Cortez took a no hitter into the 8th. You got to be happy about the Yankees pitching, especially in the last couple of weeks with their starting pitching.
Yep.
We'll see what Severino does when he comes back. I think he's pitching tomorrow, or did he pitch today? I can't remember.
Good question.
But, way better than last year. And they're hitting. They're hitting for average and not just, everybody's sort of driving and runs and pitches.
Today.
Yeah. Taillon pitches today. I think Severino pitches tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad 4. If you can have Taillon, Severino, Cole, and Cortez, I'll take it.
Sure. Fair enough. That is true. Just a quick check-in on the Mets. They are still losing 8-3.
8-3 to the Nationals.
8-3 to the Nationals. Well, Tyler McGill, like I said, in the first 2 innings, gave up 8 runs. Actually, not even the first 2 innings. The first inning and a third gave up 8 runs. He gave up 5 runs in the first inning and 3 runs in the second. And then Bucky Boy said, no more. Out. Let's go.
Yeah.
And the, bullpen's been holding it down. I mean, they're in the top of the 6th now. Alonso at the plate, 1 out, nobody on. So we'll see how this game pans out. I mean, hey.
Long season.
It's a long season, but you know what? I mean, stranger things have happened. They could. In years past, the habitual feeling at a game like this was, just turn it off. They're done. Check in with them tomorrow. Not so much this year. They could.
I think if you're a Mets fan, you have
down
to
7-1 to the Phillies last Thursday night and won the game.
I think if you're a Mets fan, that was a great comeback. I think if you're a Mets fan, you have to be very happy with how they've started the season. And if they can continue this, they're on pace to win, 106 games, which is just incredible.
Sure, absolutely.
So
Alonso was on first. I'm not sure whether it was a walk or not. I don't have the stats in front of me, but he did make it to first base somehow. So whether it was a hit or a walk, he's on first in the line. Dom Smith is up, or according to this website, Do Smith is up. Apparently, they don't have enough ink to on the website to put the M there after his first name, but. So Mr. Smith is up, and we'll see what happens there. But in any event,
I will make this prediction. I think before the All-Star break, you are going to see the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim via Pasadena. I think they're going to go all in trying. They are going to be this year's Atlanta Braves as far as signing people to get that. They are going if they maintain what they're doing right now, they are going to go all in. And I think they should, but
and why not? Why not? It's, I mean,
so note to the Steinbrenners and Mr. Brian Cashman, pay attention. You're so far you've been fortunate. You still can use some help.
Yeah, well, and it's no secret that I'm sure Mr. Cohen is going to do what he needs to do, whatever he needs to do, whenever he needs to do it. Throughout the season, whether it's now throughout the All-Star break or at the trade deadline, he will be picking up other pieces. So
we'll see,
and that's clearly going to include another bullpen arm or two, or maybe a starting pitcher, because the starting rotation has been decent. Knock on wood, they stay healthy. McGill obviously, laid an egg tonight, but hopefully he bounces back from that. Hopefully this doesn't mean he's coming back down to earth. Hopefully it means it just, he laid an egg and he'll be back in the next start. So we'll see.
Speaking of laying eggs, what about are the Sixers and Bucks done? I mean, is this coming to an end here? What this is? I cannot believe the game I watched last night between the Sixers and the Miami Heat, and I really cannot believe that the Bucks are down by 14 points here with 10 minutes left to go against the Celtics. It's
10 minutes left in the game.
10 minutes left in the fourth. 93-79 Celtics.
Wow. All right. Well, when we check in, when we do, when Pete joins us shortly, he should be along presently. We'll do the quiz, move through a few things, and we'll talk all about NBA playoffs. And by then the game should be over, so we'll know whether the Bucks continue to shit the bed tonight, or if they actually came back and
they need Chris Middleton back.
Yeah, Chris Middleton is definitely a key factor there. There's a few things for a lot of the teams. I mean, injuries obviously are playing a big part in these playoffs. That's for sure. Turning around and looking at the Ranger game here.
Injuries and just I think the reality of where a couple of these players are in their careers right now.
That's true enough.
I'm not saying the Bucks are old, but if you talk about some other teams, is James Harden heading towards Russell Westbrook territory? It sure looks like it. We shall see.
Does. We shall definitely see. Whatchamacallit? Just a word of a point of interest. Well, a couple actually. Let me say this one first. Let me pull up this right here. I don't know if you know if you did watch the other. Obviously, you mentioned it or whatever. But the Mets were the quickest team to 20 wins on Sunday.
It's because the Yankees were rained out for 7 days in a row.
Fair enough. But 6-1 half dozen of the other. They still won 20 games before anybody else did. So
yes, I've heard. If you know any Mets fans, you know this.
You know what? I don't hate the Yankees. I don't hate the Yankees.
I don't
but
think
you can't, as a Yankee fan, you can't give the Mets one thing. I mean, they
I'm giving it to them. I already told you what I thought. Mets fans they're the opposite of every other New York City fan base.
What's that?
They just, when things are going well, they're overly optimistic about everything.
Oh, no. Yeah. Believe me, don't include me in that one.
Yeah, well, I know.
There's many years of pessimism when it comes to the Mets in my.
Well, there should be, but yes.
In any event, and if you're wondering why I'm wearing a Twins jersey and cap tonight, I was in Minnesota last week, and I purchased this at Target Field, as I do whenever I visit another stadium. So
you paid a lot and
no.
Did you get a Kirby Puckett?
But I did take a picture of his statue, and Harmon Killeber's, and took a picture with
no Chuck Knobloch.
No Chuck Knobloch statue. No, there's a few statues out there. Chuck Knobloch is indeed missing from the statue area at Target Field there.
How about Dave Winfield?
Dave Winfield is not there as well.
Yes.
Neither is CeCe Sabathia or Johan Santana or even Big Papi. They're missing from the Minnesota Twins statue farm, if you will. However, there's a couple of really good breweries basically right across the street. So
I'm sure.
So we did partake a little.
So what you're trying to tell me is Fran Tarkenton is the third most popular Minnesota Twin.
Yeah, you could say that. And I did pick up a Vikings cap at U.S. Bank Stadium as well. I'll wear that when we wear football jerseys. So anyway,
when you wear football jerseys,
when I wear them, right? But no, I did want to say that that and the fact that when I was actually putting the jersey on for this show tonight, or deciding what to wear, the Mets had already been laying that egg, that 8-3 losing egg. So I was like, you know what, I'm not wearing a Mets jersey tonight. Maybe next week I'll wear a Yankees jersey. Maybe. We'll see. But I'm vamping here. We're trying to see if Pete is joining.
Well, I think we just need to move on.
I think we do too. Pete said,
"Did you at least get to see any music in Minneapolis? Did you go to First Avenue or anything?"
I was by First Avenue. There was nothing going on First Avenue.
Well, you have to be there at night.
I was there at night. There was nothing going on. You got to remember, I was there Sunday night through Wednesday night. So there's really not a whole hell of a lot happening on a Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, or Wednesday night. Thursday, Friday, Saturday are the nights you want to be there. So, did see a couple of bands we were not bands but performances for that were out there. We were at the Craft Brewers Conference we were out at, and did see a couple of performances. They're pretty good, but they were just local acts,
acoustic guitars,
a couple of acoustics, stuff like that. It was good though. It was good though. A lot of talking. It's more talking than anything else.
Mars Day and the Time we're not playing at
Mars Day and the Time. We're there on Saturday night. We missed them.
Nice.
We missed them. Yeah, so
great band.
Yeah, they were very good. I hear I was at this one place called the Poorhouse, and they were asking me if I knew anybody that was in the band Log, because they want to sign them to a couple week residency.
Yeah, I'm sure they do. People sign people to some things nowadays.
Yeah, why not?
Poorhouse. Yeah, we're that's the last thing. A bunch of
yeah, but it's not the POUR house; it's the POOR house. So everybody there was just drinking water, eating bread. It wasn't a fun place. Just kidding.
Inappropriate.
Very inappropriate.
All right.
It may be inappropriate. It may be inappropriate, but I was one of them. So
yeah, I am one of them. Yes.
There you go. In any event, Pete will be along in about a minute.
Waiting with bated breath.
Waiting with bated breath, and the.
What else can we do while we're waiting on Pete?
While we wait on Pete, we got the quiz, and the quiz is baseball related. So I hate to move on to anything else and then double back to baseball. So I might as well just bring this up. Yankees. You know what? It occurred to me, and you almost touched on it there. Obviously, when you were talking about Cashman before, it occurred to me. The Mets went out. And rightfully so, they had to, right? I mean, just the position they were in versus, where the Yankees, most of the time are and sit in amongst the standings and the team and players and capabilities and everything else. But, we talk over and over and over again throughout the offseason and all the way up to opening day. And even after opening day, that Brian Cashman and the Yankees did nothing. They didn't sign really anybody other than the trade to get rid of Gary Sanchez.
But they didn't make any big signings.
No splashes, no nothing, right? And here they are, the best record in baseball. Now, granted,
again, it's cautious. It's people that are supposed to be able to hit 250 because they make multiple $1 million a year are finally healthy. Will Aaron Hicks hold up? I don't know. Will Kinky Falafel or whatever that fuck his name is, still be able to put the bat on the ball?
That will be his name for this point going forward,
and not drop it. It's like so. I think the best thing out of that, other than getting Gary Sanchez, which I think I think sometimes it's not who you get, sometimes it's who you get rid of. Mm-hmm. And I think Sanchez was a little bit of a black cloud on that team. And look, the Yankees are getting absolutely no offensive production from either of their catchers, but they're playing way better defensive, ball behind the plate. And Kiner Falefa is actually played pretty well. He's come back down to earth a little bit. And I think at the end of when it's all said and done, he's going to be a 240, 245 hitter. But if he can get an occasional clutch single here and there and not, be a complete dud at shortstop, then okay. Rizzo's look pretty good. Mm-hmm. I still don't like what Boone is doing with this constant shifting of the lineup.
Yep.
And
nothing ever really, stays pat.
And look, Judge is
no pun intended.
Judge is making his case for whoever's going to sign him for a long-term contract. Knock on wood, he stays healthy. Maybe we get one championship out of him before he takes off.
Well, let me ask you this. In all honesty, I've actually had this conversation over the last couple of weeks with several different people. What do you think the odds are that he actually does not remain a Yankee?
I think it's about 60-40. With 60, I think he wants to stay Yankee.
Sure.
I think that with professional athletes nowadays, it is all about money.
Of course.
And I think he's going to go where whoever gives him the longest term contract with the most money, guaranteed.
Yeah, well.
And to be honest with you, I think, this is one of those contracts where, God forbid, he's a guy who's 6'8" and plays the outfield.
Right.
So he's not old, but you certainly don't want to sign him to a 10-year contract.
No.
Can he DH towards the end of his career or possibly transition to first base? Sure. But right now he's having his best season probably, compared to maybe his first two. But he's on par to have one of his best seasons. He's hitting for a little bit higher average, and he's getting some clutch hits, and he's playing good ball in the outfield. So we'll see. I think the Yankees want to sign him. I think the Yankees are hesitant, as what I've been saying all along with the Yankees is that the Yankees are they've had their credit cards taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they do not want to be stuck with another Giancarlo Stanton situation.
Well, that's for sure. And who would? I mean, they've had a lot of those in recent history,
right? And look, Stanton's not the worst of it. Obviously, when you look at what's his name from Boston, and who they're still, I think, still paying, and even some of the other signings that they had post A-Rod, they just haven't really worked out. Right. Stanton's an okay player. Stanton's a way above average player, and his numbers, especially his slugging numbers, his home runs and RBIs, will always look good.
Sure.
Do I feel 100% comfortable with the game on the line and Stanton going up against the best relievers in baseball? No.
Right.
So that's my problem with him. And to the same extent with Judge, I think Judge this year is hitting the ball a lot better. He's seeing the ball better, and he's getting back to what Aaron Judge is really doing, which is basically hitting the ball to right field. And that is dangerous, especially with the fact that he's going to get 4 or 5, maybe 6 at bats in a game. So I think that bodes well for the Yankees. My problem, right now, look, Gleyber Torres had a great game today, and I'll give Torres credit. I think he's playing okay, but he's still hitting 220. And he's still a mediocre second baseman. And so
right.
we're congratulating him. Yes, he did. He had a great game today. He was all of their offense, RBI-wise. But I still think the Yankees are mismanaging their talent in that, and I think they could use another infielder. I think Josh Donaldson is, I don't think he's a starting third baseman in the league anymore.
Not anymore, no.
And I think they need it. And if you can give me 3 more pitchers, I'll feel a little better. And if they could, if the Yankees want to go out and make a big splash, I think it's maybe more important for them to go out and get a catcher than it is, a shortstop. I'm okay if they plug the hole for 3 or 4 years with Kinky Falafel and give Gleyber Torres a chance at second. If these prospects that they talk so highly of are actually going to be ready in 2 or 3 years, then great. They've won 22 out of 30 games. If they can do that without having to spend big money on which they didn't, on a Trevor Story or a Corey Seager, then great. I'd like to see them go out and really develop or sign a catcher. And there's not a lot of great catchers that can play defense and hit in the league.
No, I mean, it's usually one or the other, right? I mean, you're never going to have a catcher that is the fantastic defensive catcher and also a power bat. You have
the Pudge Rodriguez's of the world. You have
they're few and far between.
You have Molina. You have all of these guys who are really good. The Yankees have been spoiled. They went from Yogi Berra, it seems like, to Thurman Munson to Jorge Posada, and it's dropped off since then. So I do think the bottom of their lineup is still susceptible. Right. And it lumping all these guys down there, especially now that, some of these guys who were hitting 290 or hitting 220 now again, that could potentially be a hole in their lineup come playoff time. Having said that, those guys are the ones who don't strike out nearly as much as the top of the lineup. Other than LeMahieu, the rest of the Yankees are striking out a ton. And that's what scares me. And that's why they have games where they don't score a run.
There you go. You're absolutely right. And Pete is now with us.
Pete is with us.
Pete is with us.
The fan is on. He's cooling himself down.
He's telephone Pete tonight. He's having issues. We just got that word. What are the issues you're having, Pete?
I don't know. It's not. I have no access to the microphone or the camera.
Is it itchy or is it burning?
A little of each.
A little of each. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, there's
Is it
some drainage.
A little drainage. All right. Well, that could be a problem. It could be a problem. Can you turn your
Never
phone
a good thing.
sideways?
I
Can you
suppose
turn
I
your
could.
phone sideways?
Or can you lay down?
Is that better?
I guess that didn't work the way I thought it would. So.
Let's see. Hang on. Because I have it set.
You're fine. Just scoot a little closer.
There we
go. All right.
There you go. Landscape mode.
There you go.
We want to be able to see as much of your.
You couldn't have planned that joke any better the way you did it before.
Telephone Pete.
Telephone Pete. I like that. There you go. Perfect. All right. There you go.
Isn't that a Seinfeld character?
Telephone Pete. There you go. I think it is. So, anyway, so how are you this evening, Pete?
Okay.
That's good.
Got off a rather long work day. My computer is actually updating right now. So.
All right. Well, let's move on to the quiz.
Yeah, we finished baseball. We vamped a little bit when we knew you were coming along presently. So let's get the quiz done, and then we could.
Let me just say one thing about the Yankees.
Sure, go for it.
I want to ask
Harry.
This is sort of a relatively young team, or not?
I think it's a mixed bag. I think they have some young players. I think they have some young players who maybe in their bodies might not be as young as what they're saying they are. But when you look at look at the corners. I mean, when you look at Rizzo and Donaldson, they're definitely on the downside of their careers. LeMahieu is a guy who, knock on wood, has maintained pretty well, but he's at least at the top. And not necessarily on the upside. He might not be on the downside of the end of his career, but he's LeMahieu, I think, is 35, 36 years old.
Oh, okay. I didn't know he was that old.
Yeah. They're young at catcher. Kiner Falefa, Kiki Falafel, he's fairly young. You know, Judge is younger than you think. Stanton is, again, sort of in that same role as LeMahieu. I think he's got a couple years left, but he's certainly not in his prime. Aaron Hicks, again, a guy who's pretty young, but coming off 2 years of injuries. Gleyber Torres, young, 25 years old. Hopefully a guy who can has another 5, 6, 7 great years left in him.
Sure.
So yeah, I think it's a mixed bag. I think that their pitching is young. I'm really excited about what Nestor Cortez has done and stepped up into what I think he's probably the second option in the starting lineup. I think if Severino can come back strong, then they'll be okay. So yeah, they're not super old, but they're not super young.
Here we go.
Why is RadioPete in the dark and telephone Pete a little brighter?
Oh my gosh,
He's got a nice little chorusing thing going on here.
How many Petes can we get?
I don't know. Let's find out.
All right, telephone Pete, get out.
There we go.
No, we're back.
So I think I got to put the headphones on now.
There we go. Now you have to. There you go. Can you hear us now?
Now I got to switch. Now I got to switch the audio source.
So much technology.
There we go.
All right. There you go.
So here's the reason I asked. Because, look, the Yankees are kicking ass right now, right? They're first, et cetera, et cetera. We made our picks, I think, earlier before the season started for division winners and all that, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of us picked the Yankees to win the AL East.
No, not even Harry.
And they were not a very popular pick amongst the professional punditry either.
Nope.
Now, in the past, I would think this would kind of put a chip on the Yankees' shoulder because they're the fucking Yankees. How dare you not pick us to blah, blah, blah.
Well, they were very mad that none of us picked them.
Oh, well, that I'm sure. But the reason
most of them understood.
Yeah. But the reason I ask about the age thing is I wondered how young the team was. I thought it was a mixed bag. But to me, I wonder if this team is just like, okay, you didn't pick us, no big deal. We're just going to go out and play. We're just going to go out and play every day, and we'll let that do the talking. Rather than, we'll show you. I don't know how you guys think about it. Because I feel like that's sort of a reflection of, I don't know Aaron Boone personally, but certainly heard him talk a lot. And to me, that's, not the essence of Aaron Boone, but sort of what I would think his attitude is. Let's just go out and play. Mm-hmm. And he was on the Yankees when they were a big deal, right? You know, when there was the Yankee pride and they were going to go to the World Series every year. And he has his moment of infamy, right? There's a reason that Boston Red Sox fans call him, Aaron F. and Boone.
Right.
So, but to me, that seems more like him. Let's just go out and play. And maybe he's, we look at the Mets and the way they're sort of reacting to Buck Showalter and his demeanor and the way he does things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Aaron Boone is in a way putting his stamp on this Yankee team in that extent. I don't know what you guys think about that. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think Aaron Boone is doing anything different than he's ever done, and I think that
no, I don't think so. Maybe
Aaron Boone has nothing to do with the fact that Gleyber Torres occasionally is getting a hit now, that Aaron Hicks is back on the field, that he's not having to deal with a Gary Sanchez that's hitting 125 and striking out every 3 at bats.
Right.
It's the fact that Judge and LeMahieu and Rizzo are having their best starts, in the certainly better than last year. And the biggest thing is that their pitching's performing.
Yeah, the pitching coach.
Look, I'm not going to say that Boone has nothing to do with that, but I don't think Boone. I think the Yankees are winning despite Aaron Boone. I do not think Aaron Boone is a bad manager. I don't think Aaron Boone is a differentiator, though, when it comes to he's never going to take the Oakland A's, a team with half the talent of the Yankees, and win 92 games. He's going to be a guy who's on the Yankees with a lot of talent and is going to win between 92 and 104 and deal with the realities that have been presented to him by a front office that I think is lagging a little bit in years as far as getting the best talent they possibly can. Right. And at the end of the day, when you look at a team like the Yankees versus the Mets, it's all about the playoffs. As a Yankee fan, yeah, okay, great. You made it to the playoffs. Who gives a shit? If you don't win a World Series, then we don't give a shit because it doesn't matter. And I'd much rather have a Max Scherzer and than, what the Yankees are doing. Now, so far, so good. But Nestor Cortez, to the best of my knowledge, has never pitched in a playoff game. He's never pitched a full year for the Yankees. We don't know where Luis Severino is going to be. We don't know if Michael King's going to become a starter or continue to be a great middle reliever as he is. Who knows? Is Garrett Cole as consistent as Max Scherzer, who's the Mets number 2, by the way? Right. No. So that's what I'm getting at. The Yankees should win 100 games. The reason why I didn't pick them to is because they have big name players who don't perform in the clutch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily their pitching that let them down ultimately last year. It was a lack of timely hitting.
Yeah, it was definitely the timely hitting. Yeah. And I just said before, too, I mean, we mentioned it before. It was both. Yeah. But we mentioned it before. Over the weekend, the 4 games over the weekend, the Yankees scored 6 runs and won 2 games. 6 runs total. So average 1.5 runs a game, and they still won. They split. They still won 2 of the games. So that's pitching right there. Yeah. I mean,
so ride the wave while you're on top.
The Yankees' average age. I mean, if you look at their Chapman's 34, Cole's 31, Cortez is 27, Chad Green is 30, Michael King is 26, Loaizaga is 27. Lukey, is however you say his name, is 35. Jordan Montgomery's they're not old, but they're not super young. Luis Severino's 28. He looks like he's 37.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. I mean, guys that are less than, to me, if you have a bunch of guys that are less than 30, that's a young team. You're right. They're not kids.
They've got a couple guys.
Yeah. Okay.
Donaldson's 36. LeMahieu's 33. Falefa is 27.
Kinky falafel.
Torres is only 25. And that's the thing. Right. He's Gleyber Torres has not been around a lot. Joey Gallo is only 28. He looks like he's 47. But this is what I worry about with the Yankees. When you look at the so-called big name moves that they've made, going back a number of years, the big one was getting Chapman back, which I always thought was a mistake, and I still do. And until he proves me wrong, I will cringe, and in my heart, I will know that he will blow another playoffs for the Yankees. It's just bound to happen because he is that guy.
He's your Armando Benitez.
He is that guy, and the fact that they stick with him is what drives me absolutely.
You see, but that's the one difference between him and Armando Benitez. Even the Mets, with the Wilpons in charge, pulled the plug on Armando Benitez at a certain point.
It takes this Yankees front office and Boone
too late, mind you,
forever to pull the plug on anybody. Now, it might work out every once in a while, but it's tough. It's tough to see. And they went out and got Zach Britton. Zach Britton's been injury prone. He's out again. Who knows? He didn't look great. Right. So the bullpen, the back end of the bullpen for the Yankees in October, going against Vlad Guerrero or Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, or any of the Astros. Yeah, I don't think they're as dominant as they are against Kansas City in May.
Right. Well, this is true. So, Pete, I just want to ask you, was that your son playing trombone or your lunch?
Both. It was his son playing his lunch.
Right. Yeah, there you go. That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
I gotcha. All right.
Yes. Listen, this weekend is no, not this weekend. Damn it! Next weekend is Allstate, and so he'll be performing his solo and
trombone solo.
Yeah, well, it's a piano accompaniment. So
very nice.
So he's going for the Allstate designation, which is they take all the best kids from New York State who perform. And they pick a bunch of them and make up a bunch of groups, singers and orchestra and wind ensembles and all that stuff. And they ship them to Rochester in December for like half a week of practice and then some concerts and stuff.
Very nice.
So
very
nice. Very cool. It's like the best of the best. So, but you have to go and perform in front of a judge and get 100. That's the first requirement. You get 100.
Gotcha. Best of the best. Wasn't that a movie?
Drumline?
No, best of the best.
Best of the best? Oh,
I think it was. I think Eric Roberts was in it. It was
FYI, the Boston-Milwaukee game has gone from a 14-point lead to a 1-point lead with 31 seconds left.
Who's leading?
Boston.
Oh, all right, good.
Boston was leading by 13 a little while ago. 10 minutes left. The Rangers have scored. It is now 4-3 with 7 minutes left. This is Game 5. If the Rangers lose this game, that is it. Goodbye.
They'll win this game.
They're ahead 4-3.
They're ahead 4-3 right now. So.
The Rangers are not. Sorry, Rangers fans, that you're not as good as Pittsburgh.
No,
it's okay.
No, actually, technically, the Rangers are a better team than Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. However, Pittsburgh has much more playoff experience than this Rangers team. So.
Looking at these first games,
well, and you look at
the way they're playing. I just mean on paper. Just the way they played this season. The talent.
Is there a regular season that means less in any major sport or minor sport in this case than the NHL?
Pickleball.
Pickleball actually probably holds truer than
pickleball was on. I don't think I texted you guys. I forgot. Was on the CBS Sports Network the other day. I was flipping.
Are you kidding me?
No, I swear to God.
Was your favorite player on there? What's his name?
Kent Merker was
Tiny Hands.
Tiny Hands, Big Dick McGillicuddy. Yeah.
He doesn't use a paddle.
No.
Tiny Hands, Big Dick McGillicuddy.
Yeah.
That sounds like an interesting.
But I was flipping through it. I was like, "Oh my God, it's pickleball!"
An interesting OnlyFans page.
Pickleball on TV. So.
Well, anybody with tiny hands has a big dick. It's all relative.
Well, yeah,
very true.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Well, was it tiny hands or baby hands?
Baby hands.
I think it was baby hands.
Baby hands.
Which is worse.
Tiny baby hands.
Oh, the only thing worse than baby hands is baby dick.
Hey, you can't have that. That's not good. That's not a good thing.
All right. So, and the Mets are fine until they're not.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, you know what? I mentioned it before. That was a great comeback last week. Maybe they could do the same thing tonight in the ninth inning. We'll see.
Yeah. I haven't looked at any scores or anything yet. So
the Mets are losing 8-3. Let's see if it's changed. Still 8-3.
Right. So what is this week's quiz?
So this week's quiz. Let's get to the quiz. Let's do the quiz. Here we go. Yeah, it's in the seventh inning, top of the seventh. All right, this week's quiz. One more pitchers. We're going back to 1970s.
1849.
Going back to 1840s.
Mustaches and cocaine.
There you go. That was the tagline for
That's right.
For
the Oakland A's, their championship team. There was a
mustaches and cocaine.
Sly Stone was going to write a song for them called "Mustaches and Cocaine."
Right? Exactly. So anyway, the pitchers, Major League Baseball pitchers from 1970 to 1980. I'm giving you 6, 4 stay, 2 got to go.
Oh boy.
Who are you keeping? Here we go. Write these down.
Here we go.
These down. Here we go. We're going to start off with Gaylord Perry.
Oh God, he's gone.
Really?
Well, I mean, he was a 500 pitcher.
Pretty damn good pitcher, actually.
Well, he wasn't. He just was. He just. I'll tell you what I give him credit for. He whether he was down 13-0 or up 13-0, he stayed in the game and got a decision.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
He had more complete games by giving up 27 hits than any other pitcher in the history of baseball.
Fair enough. All right. So Gaylord Perry. Number 2, Jim Palmer.
The Gentleman of Baltimore.
Mm-hmm. There you go. 1972, by the way, Gaylord Perry's ERA was his best year. His ERA was 1.92. He had 24 wins and 16 losses.
I think I'm also thinking because Gaylord Perry pitched till 91.
Right. We're talking about the 70s here. We're not talking about.
I know.
So
I wasn't really around. I was, but I wasn't. I didn't.
24 wins, 16 losses, 29 complete games in 1972. He had.
Right. So, Gaylord Perry started his career in 62.
There you go. Gaylord Perry, Jim Palmer, Tom Terrific, Mr. Seaver.
I'm crossing his name off now.
Really?
No.
Right. Don Sutton.
Don. Not the other one.
Not the other one.
Who's the other one? Daryl? Jim. Jim Sutton? He's gone.
Ron Guidry.
Oh, yeah.
Gator.
And the 6th one is Mr. Vida Blue.
Vida Blue was the first pitcher I ever saw pitch in a major league game because my first major league game was at Shea Stadium with the San Francisco Giants playing the New York Mets, and obviously. So I guess whoever pitched for the Mets technically would have been the first, but Vida Blue was pitching in that game. I remember it distinctly.
I forget who was the opposing team's pitcher, but the very first ball game I attended, the home pitcher was Mr. Ron Guidry.
I first learned the name Vida Blue while reading Mad Magazine.
There you go.
And there was a cartoon of, the carnival game where you throw the ball to cans.
Sure enough.
And it was sort of from behind the guy who was throwing the ball, and it said Vida Blue on the back of his shirt.
There you go.
And the guy at the carnival, the carny who was running the game, was like crying because he kept knocking down the cans every time and was winning all the prizes because he was Vida Blue.
I mean, not to judge things with facts,
but
okay. Here's Vida Blue's ERAs from 70 to 80. 2.09, 1.82, 2.8, 3.2, 3.2, 3.01, 2.35, 3.83, 2.79. He had one really bad year where he was had an ERA over 5 and was 14 and 14. Bounce back 2.97 in 1980, and in 1981, 2.45.
So you're saying you're crossing him off your list?
Yeah. He had no support. Now he was on those A's championship teams.
Sure, yeah, he was,
and he had a couple decent years. But yeah, he was. He very rarely kept you in games. That's for sure.
This is true. So once again, Gaylord Perry, Jim Palmer, Tom Seaver, Don Sutton, Ron Guidry, and Vida Blue. Radio Pete.
All right. Well, I guess Sutton's got to go.
All right.
And Don Sutton won 324 games.
Well,
with a career ERA of 3.26. He played for 23 years.
Not on my team, he didn't.
I love these quizzes.
He has exactly as many wins as I do on my team.
On your team.
You know what? I'm getting rid of Jim Palmer too.
Really?
I know he was great, but I don't know.
Best pitcher of the 70s ahead of Tom Seaver.
He's like too perfect.
It was the underwear ads, right? That's what
it just I don't know. He was too perfect.
He wasn't. He didn't match Earl Weaver's curmudgeoniness.
There's a great line from a Stephen King short story about this obnoxious, officious frat boy. Like the president of the frat house and blah blah blah. And there's a line
Eric
that
Stratton?
He looks varnished. That's how like shiny and
he
perfect.
Was pretty incredible.
Yeah, Jim Palmer was amazing, but he doesn't make the cut.
All right.
Palmer and Sutton.
Palmer and Sutton are gone. You're keeping Gaylord Perry, Tom Seaver, Ron Guidry, and Vita Blue. All right.
Yep.
Harry, your choices, please.
God damn, this is... Jim Palmer pitched 19 years with a career ERA of 2.86.
Mm-hmm. Difficult list, huh?
This is the toughest list yet. I don't know if I can get rid of any of these guys. And
it's hard, I know.
One of the ones I have to get rid of. Look, if you talk about the 70s, Guidry didn't pitch as long in the 70s, but he had his best years in the 70s, including that season, 25-3, 174. Came back the next year and, 2 years in a row went to the World Series and then bounced back and played again in the World Series for 2 years. But Guidry doesn't have the numbers that these other guys do career-wise. But if we're talking about the 70s, then I can't take him off this list. I'm not sure I could take Vita Blue off this list. I mean, how do you take a guy with the most wins on this list, Don Sutton, and take him off? This is just ridiculous.
Sophie's choice.
Boy, I mean,
you almost have to look at it illogically.
Guidry had those magical years in the 70s, but he didn't do it as much. I'm going to take Gaylord Perry off just because he pitched in I think his best years were in the 60s.
Okay.
And that's the only reason. He pitched great, but he wasn't as dominant as Guidry and Vita Blue. And I'm going to load the playoffs big here. Vita Blue and Ron Guidry won World Series. I don't think Don Sutton or Jim Palmer ever did. Did Jim Palmer win in the 70s with the Orioles?
No. Wait, yes, he did.
Was he on that 69 team?
He was on the 69 team, but the 70 team he was on, yeah. He lost in 69 to the Mets, and they won in 70. So he won a World Series, Jim Palmer did.
He was 3-time World Series champion. Yeah. 3-time Cy Young. You can't take Palmer off this list.
Can't take Palmer off the list, yeah.
Can't take him off this list.
Tom Seaver, 2-time Cy Young Award winner. World Series winner.
It's Perry, Palmer, Sutton, Guidry, Vita Blue, and who's the other one?
Seaver.
I got to take this is tough. I got to take Vita Blue and Gaylord Perry off this list.
Yeah.
And I don't want to.
It's difficult. I know. I mean,
you can't take Tom Seaver off. I don't know. 70s Don Sutton. I'm gonna take Gaylord Perry off. It's between Vita Blue and Don Sutton, and I just Vita Blue won 2 World Series, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
3 times World Series winner. He won. Didn't he win? Who did he win a World Series with? He was a Cy Young. He was a Cy Young and an MVP winner.
Oakland.
All right, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna take off.
He won a World Series that he shouldn't have won. I mean, Tom Seaver should have won another one, and he should have won one less.
Well, whatever. I'm gonna take off Perry and Sutton. Wow, that's tough. Gaylord Perry, because Jim Palmer, Ron Guidry, Vita Blue, and Tom Seaver. That might be imagine that starting rotation.
Jim Palmer, 70s. Tom Seaver, Ron Guidry, and Vita Blue.
Yeah,
that would be.
And I'm leaning it more towards they had their peak in the 70s. Guidry was the end of the 70s. Blue was the beginning of the 70s. Yeah. Jim Palmer pitched for 97 years. So did Gaylord Perry, and so did Don Sutton. Tom Seaver was maybe the most dominant pitcher in the 70s.
Sure.
So I can't take him off there. That's my final tally.
There you go. So you're going with Jim Palmer. Jim Palmer, Tom Seaver, Ron Guidry, and Vida Blue. So you both of you agree on Seaver, Guidry, and Blue, and you both agree on leaving Don Sutton off this list. And then obviously, Harry, you went with Palmer, and Pete, you went with.
Yeah, listen. If I had used any logic whatsoever, Gaylord Perry, we would have had the same list.
Right.
But of course, I have to be a contrarian. So Jim, the varnished Palmer is gone. But Don
Sutton was great. Never won a World Series. He was not on those Dodgers teams. He didn't last with those Dodgers teams that won it. I don't think. Wasn't he traded to the Astros or something right when the Dodgers finally? He lost to the Yankees in Guidry. He was great. He was great.
He lost 2 World Series. Yeah, he lost 2 World Series to the Yankees. Yeah.
I'm going to take him off there. It might be wrong. Any other list, he's on it. As is Gaylord Perry. I think Gaylord Perry, great pitcher. I think it's his career arc that makes him as great as he was. He just did it for so long.
Gotcha. Here's a quick question for you. What if I didn't put Don Sutton on the list, but I put Catfish Hunter there instead?
Well, interesting, because Catfish kind of had 1 or 2 great years and then faltered a little bit, was not as great with the Yankees. In fact, became a reliever. But he was probably that second A's championship. He's probably he was a Cy Young winner, 8-time All-Star, 5-time World Series champion. Yeah, you got to put Catfish.
Yeah, so
from
then
the 70s.
From the 70s, right? So that's my point. So it would have been the list would have been even more difficult if I left Sutton off and put Hunter on. Yeah. So there you go. Good thing I didn't.
Here's what he did with Oakland from 70 to 74. Okay, 18-14, 21-11, 21-7, 21-5, 25-12. Goes to the Yankees, 25-14. In 76, he goes 17-15 with the Yankees. Then he goes into the bullpen or part-time starter with the Yankees, becomes kind of a 500 pitcher.
Spot starter in the bullpen, Army.
But a really big part of that 77 and 78 team.
Sure.
Leaving Gossage as the closer, Catfish kind of became the setup guy. But for those A's years, those win totals 18, 21, 21, 21, 20, 25, and 23. Nobody does that anymore.
All right. Good list tonight. Good quiz tonight. I do want to make mention that Harry's first professional Major League Baseball game as a Yankee fan was a Mets game, and my first Major League Baseball professional baseball experience was a Yankee game as a Mets fan. So there you go.
Yeah, mine was too.
Yeah.
The first baseball game that I got mugged at, though, was a Yankee game.
There you go. And I did, however, and
those are the ones you never forget.
You never forget that. You never forget your first.
I'll never get that $5 back.
Never happened. What was her name?
The $5 bill?
No. The girl that mugged you for the $5. Cletus. There you go. No, I actually caught a Reggie Jackson foul ball during batting practice at that game too. It was a Yankees Royals game. So that was fun. So, anyway, all right. Moving on. All right.
Just one note on that.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the balls. Maybe it was the cocaine. Maybe it was the mustaches. I don't know. Was there a better era of baseball pitching than the 70s?
Not at all. Never. It was so good.
Maybe the late 60s with Bob Gibson.
Sure.
Maybe. But overall, wow. An all 70s team is hard to pick because of the pitchers.
It's very difficult. Very difficult. So, all right. Let's go into a little. We're going to talk a lot about basketball, but let's before we do that, let's revisit our picks for.
Mine were all wrong.
Yeah. We'll pull them up really quick right now. Let me pull this up really quick so we can actually see the actual picks that actually happened. Hold on here.
Oh, is this the NFL draft?
Yeah, the NFL draft.
Did that happen 7 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago tomorrow. So 2 NFL draft.
Rangers are now at 5-3, so it looks like we're gonna have a game. That's over. 5-3
Over.
Rangers.
5-3 Rangers.
The Rangers win.
The Rangers win. There you go. So
is anyone going to make the Messier guarantee?
Look at this. Bucks.
Game 6.
Bucks beat the Celtics 110-107 with Drew Holiday being the hero of the game. Big win. Big win. That's because they're champions. That is a big win.
Yep. Yes,
wow.
Yep. So, all right. Here we go. Let's put these up. So these were the picks from 2 weeks ago. We'll do Harry's first. Why not? Let's do Harry's first. Let's put them up.
No, I didn't know any of these. I just threw stuff at a wall.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We get the first top picks. Harry said Evan Neal. By the Jags, it was Trayvon Walker. Detroit Lions, he said Trayvon Walker. Obviously, it was Aiden Hutchinson. So you got these close, actually. Because
you got a bunch of the names are. I think you get a point if you get the guy, in your top 10. He actually goes in the top 10. I think that counts.
I was purposely making some, high risk picks because you just never know, and I think Jacksonville probably should have taken Evan Neal, but I'm very happy he's on the New York Giants.
Mm-hmm. Then you picked the Texans correct. You said Derek Stingley. You picked that one right.
The Stinger is going to be good.
There you go. Jets, you said Aiden Hutchinson. They got Ahmad Gardner.
They got the sauce.
Yeah. Giants, you said Akeem Ekwonu, and they got Kayvon Thibodeau. And Kenny Pickett for the Panthers. They got Akeem Ekwonu. Giants, you said Ahmad Gardner. Obviously, the Jets picked up Sauce, but they took Evan Neal, your first pick overall. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Falcons, you said Jordan Davis. They took Drake London. Seahawks, you said Jermaine Johnson. The Jets went up getting Jermaine Johnson at 26.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
Steal.
I think the Jets had an A+ draft.
Jets had a great draft.
I don't think so.
And then the Jets, you said Jameson Williams at 10. They took Garrett Wilson. So
where did Williams wind up going?
Where Jameson Williams wound up going?
Yeah.
Jameson Williams wound up going number 12 to Detroit.
That's too bad.
There you go.
Well, I think he's going to be an impact player. Wait 4 or 5 years.
All of these guys are, sure.
He'll talk his way.
Right. So let's do Radio Pete's. You had Trayvon Walker correct. You had Aiden Hutchinson correct. Hitchinson, sorry. Stingley, you got wrong. You had Sauce Gardner right. You had 3 of them. You had 3 correct. You did not have Charles. You had,
you were one off with Evan Neal, and
you were 1 off with Evan Neal, and
2 off with Thibodeau.
Thibodeau, you had going to the Giants at 5. He went at 7. He went at 5. So you had. We'll call it right. Just right team, wrong slot.
Did we all have Jermaine Johnson in the top 10?
Yeah. We did. No, we didn't. I didn't.
You didn't. Okay.
I did not. So I had Trayvon Walker.
He had Jermaine Jackson in the top 10.
I did.
Mm.
I had Trayvon Walker. I got right. Aiden Hitchinson, I got correct. Sauce Gardner, I was 1 off. Kayvon Thibodeau, I was 1 off. Akeem. Excuse me.
Evan Neal, you had 6th. You had the Giants taking Stingley.
And the Giants taking Stingley.
Stingley went way higher.
Yeah, what happened to Drake London? Where did he go?
He went to
Drake London went to the Falcons at 8.
Falcons.
Oh, okay. And Charlie, what about Charles
Cross? I had correct. He went to Seattle at 9.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah. So I had a few correct. We both had 3 correct. But I had. And most of everything that we picked, there was like 1 or 2 that weren't in. All 10 that I picked were actually in the top 10. Only 3 were in the correct spot, though. So
yeah.
But there you go. So
yeah, I heard
this was a better. These were better picks by the 3 of us this year than we did last year when we did a lot more homework on the draft too last year.
Yeah.
So
I think there was far less there's far more player. I think there was a lot more so-called skills players last year, and the quarterbacks made it a lot more interesting.
This is true. They did.
Well, as if there's no skill playing offensive tackle trying to run backwards while a 340-pound man tries to take your head off. But I hate that terminology, skills players.
Yeah, but those those positions tend to create more movement.
Well, look, this year people obviously defensive line was where everybody invested.
Right.
When was the last time you saw so few? Not only quarterbacks, obviously only one picked in the top 20, but how about so few wide receivers?
Yeah, wide receivers. Do you have the actual draft?
I do.
You brought that up because I heard. What's the Giants GM's name?
Joe Shane.
Shane. He was talking the other day, and he was talking about taking Thibodeau 5 because the Jets did not take an offensive lineman.
Yeah, they knew that they were going to be able to get one of the.
They were either going to be able to get Ekwonu or Neal, either or. So they were happy with either of them.
Yeah, and when Ekwonu went, then they were able to get Neal. I could be wrong on Evan Neal. I've watched, maybe it's because I've seen him play because he played for a high-profile school. I think this guy is going to be a stud.
Yeah, he's a monster, number one. He's like the prototypical old school, gigantic left tackle, only more mobile, more athletic.
Is there ever a better pick for a team that's got a running back with 1 to 2 years left in his lifespan and a quarterback who can't pass? No. Run the ball. Knock their heads off and run the ball. Saquon should carry it 30 times a game.
Well, look at it this way. Daniel Jones can pass the ball. It's a problem of who's
until the third quarter.
If you count his interceptions and his fumbles, that his completion percentage is pretty high.
Pretty good. So, on that note, let's see. You had in the top 10, you had 3 defensive linemen. You had 2 cornerbacks. You had 3 offensive linemen. You had 2 wide receivers, and that's it.
No running backs, no quarterbacks. Running backs we expected they were going to.
Only one running back and 1 quarterback in the first round? Is that true?
The first round, 1 quarterback.
And 1 running back, I think.
I'm looking right now. 11 was a wide receiver, defensive tackle, safety, guard, receiver, tackle, quarterback that's 20. Yeah, Pittsburgh still Kenny Pickett at 20.
Pickens,
and cornerback, linebacker, cornerback, tackle, center at 25. Defensive lineman, linebacker, tackle, defensive tackle, guard, lineman, safety. So no running backs.
Was the Jets take the first running back in the draft?
That was the second round. Huh? When was it? Has there ever been a draft where a running back has not been taken?
The first running back was Breece Hall by the Jets at 36. Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
That was the first running back.
So 10 picks into the second round?
4. It was the 4th pick in the second round.
Yeah. 4th pick. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now, what about let me ask.
Has that ever happened before?
Running backs hasn't gone in the first round.
Good question.
I can't imagine.
I can't remember the last time that happened. Might have been last year.
3 great picks in the first round and a great pick to kick off the second round. Jets had a great draft. Giants had a great draft too, but the Jets had a great draft.
Giants I scratched my head with the Giants' second round picks.
You know what? The second round, they had 1 pick, Wan'Dale Robinson, wide receiver. The guy's 4'2".
Well, and what's his name was available. Was a no-brainer. I don't get it.
Yeah. Listen, I don't love the Jets got really good players, but I don't think they really addressed their needs.
No.
Now listen, a week before the draft, I think Saleh was on the radio, and he said, we're going to get some pieces to put around Zach Wilson to help him be successful.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe some of those pieces might have been offensive linemen, but apparently they didn't feel that way. And now I just want to throw a couple things at you to make my case here, because I seem to be the only people that don't think the Jets had one of, if not the best draft in the draft.
All right, good.
All right, so we know who got sacked the most times last year, right?
Daniel Jones.
No,
I'm kidding.
Yeah. Joe Burrow, right?
Joe Burrow.
51 sacks, 520 attempts. Number 2, anybody? Ryan Tannehill. 47 sacks, 531 attempts. Number 3, I think you can guess where I'm going.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson. 44 sacks. So 3 less than Tannehill, 7 less than Burrow. 383 attempts.
A lot less attempts.
Way less.
Yeah, if he had the same ballpark of attempts, he would have been way over.
150 less attempts.
Sure. Yep.
Now, I didn't do the math of attempts or sacks per attempt, but that's pretty bad.
There were a few times, and you can go back and think about it. There were a few times during the season when he got sacked, he was holding onto the ball way too long.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Rookie,
but,
Yeah.
No, of course. The thing I don't understand, and listen, they're football guys. I'm not. This may very well, probably likely, be a case where my ignorance and lack of football savvy turns out to be a good thing for the team that I like. But I don't know where this renewed confidence in their offensive line comes from. They took it was the kid they took, Max, somebody in the 3rd round or whatever. They finally took an offensive lineman. They took a tackle, I think.
Well, they're going to move.
They took where the hell is it? I just saw it.
They signed Tomlinson, Locken Tomlinson, who is probably going to play at left guard. They're going to move Tucker to right guard. They have Mekhi Becton, so they haven't not added anybody. They added some. They went the route of adding 2 veterans on the offensive line as opposed to drafting offensive line.
It was in the 4th round, pick 111. They took Max Mitchell.
Max Mitchell, yeah. Okay, well, I hope they're right. I'm just saying, this was a draft where there were a number of talented guys out there. And, okay, I think the wide receiver, whatever his name is, going to be good. That they took at number 10. And I think
Garrett Wilson,
yeah. But listen, he's a little raw in his route running, and we know receivers need a couple years, generally speaking. They develop. That's fine. If they got themselves a running back, they can give the ball to 25 times.
I think the Jets are looking to make their personality on this team defense. And
that's Salah's MO. Is it?
They signed Solomon Thomas in the offseason, who was 3rd or 4th overall pick a couple of years back.
Yep.
I think they made some good economical off-season additions of some veterans that aren't too old. Maybe they should have went after an offensive lineman. Maybe they should have went after an Evan Neal, even though they got Becton. You could argue that, but by all accounts, and again, these experts don't necessarily know everything. By all accounts, Sauce Gardner is a generational player.
Oh yeah, I'm not knocking the talent. I don't think they
I mean, it's going to be Gardner Island. I mean, if you want to.
I agree with you though. In one of those other picks, if I was the Jets, I would have went with a high-profile offensive line. Yeah, that's the only thing I could criticize them about.
Yeah, and I think at 26, with Johnson sitting there, you have to take him.
Right, and they don't need another running back.
No, but here's the only thing I want to say about this, and I'm going to assume they're right and I'm wrong about the offensive line being better. Zach Wilson was a number 2. He went number 2. When you draft a quarterback number 2, they can't just be pretty good. No. They have to be great. They have to be the guy.
Look at what the Bengals did. The Bengals, again, did not go after offensive linemen in the draft. They signed offensive linemen in the offseason. The Jets sort of did the same thing, not as big a names as the Bengals. Mm-hmm. I believe in that. Now, the Evan Neal and Cross and some of these other guys, I think they're one of those rare cases where they can come in and make an impact right away. But most offensive linemen, it's a 2 or 3 year process for them to literally get their feet underneath them, because the speed off the edge in the NFL is so much greater.
Yep.
And the passing game is so much more prevalent in the NFL that they struggle, especially these high profile drafts at tackle. And so Becton's going to be better. He's going to improve, and he had a pretty.
Mekhi Becton's going to be much better. Absolutely.
But again,
it's like Andrew Thomas with the Giants. I mean,
you had 2 picks in the top 10.
You gave him time, and yeah, exactly.
You had 2 picks in the top 10, and you had a number of these guys that could be that sort of generational talent at that position.
I think the Jets are going to have a top 10 defense this year and a bottom 10 offense.
Sounds about right.
I hope Zach Wilson doesn't get killed.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you.
Let me ask you this, and I know we kind of danced around it during the season because of all that was going on in especially in the AFC East. But your opinion, Pete? You look at Zach Wilson, what he did in his first year last year. You look at Mac Jones and what he did in his first year last year. If you flip them, does that translate to both teams? Meaning, does Zach Wilson's play bring the Patriots' play down, and does Mac Jones's play bring the Jets up, or were they a product of their environment for what happened to their seasons last year? Both.
Well, I think if there was ever a quarterback drafted into the right situation, it was Mac Jones. And I don't just mean Belichick. Of course, that's a lot of it and what he creates, but that I'm going to use the word system here. And but you know what I mean? The way that offense runs, right? And what he did in his college career, they were really a great match for each other.
It did work very well. Yeah.
And now the Jets, on the other hand, new coach, new team, kind of who knew what their identity was going to be.
I also think Zach Wilson, I think the Jets knew this, and I think most people who watched him, he's got greater upside, but he's a little bit more of a raw talent.
He needs
Mac Jones is never going to have the sort of dynamic playmaking capability of a Zach Wilson, but
but he came into the
right system, and he's going to flourish in it. He knows how to manage a game. He knows how to manage a game,
and he'll get smarter too.
If Mac Jones went and played for if he went and played for the San Francisco 49ers, they might have beaten LA. In the right system, he's a great quarterback. I still think Zach Wilson will be right. I think the Jets struggled in just, they didn't seem to have a really cohesive offensive personality last year.
They didn't know who they were.
Their best offense was special teams.
Yeah. And now listen, I like the running back.
That's for sure.
His name Hall.
Yeah.
He's supposedly a guy you give the ball 25 to 30 times to. All right. Well, so now you're going to run the ball a lot. So that
helps Wilson. That helps.
It does.
Yeah. It also helps that young offensive line.
Holes.
It also helps that young offensive line develop, because a younger offensive line is going to feel much more comfortable in a run game than they are having to drop back 60 times a game and trying to keep a young quarterback from getting his head handed to him. Right. So
on the Giants side of things, we started to mention that, and we went back to the Jets. The second round pick, I was not happy with when it happened, when it occurred. I thought they should have taken whatchamacallit was available. Was it Ajabo? I thought he was on the board. I thought the linebacker, that would have been great. Most of your bigger offensive tackles were out by then, but yeah, he's a short, Wan'Dale Robinson. He's a shorter guy. I mean, even for a slot, he's just a short receiver. Fine, he's speedy, and they're comparing him to Tyreek Hill. But there's only, the last time I checked, there's only one Tyreek Hill. So and until proven wrong, that's the case. You never know receiver is going to be coming out of college. And, Harry, you say it all the time, Giants draft wide receivers well, and that's all fine and dandy. But the Giants seem to have a plethora of wide receivers. How many do you need? And especially, one with you had the 36 pick. You traded it and got the 38 pick. Then you traded it again and took the 43 pick, and you still took somebody that you shouldn't have taken.
What it tells me is that, much like the Jets, the Giants' passing game may be about the same. There's a dysfunction to it. There's a lack of precision in the timing. There's a lack of comfortableness in the game plan and in these receivers knowing where they have to go, and with Daniel Jones being able to get them where they need to go. They signed three receivers in the last couple of years who all had very good years on other teams. Mm-hmm. So it's not to say they don't have the ability to have big seasons. What they all struggled with was getting open and getting the ball. They all seemed frustrated with the offensive play calling of the Giants. That has to change, and it's the only reason it's going to
change, right? I mean, they have a whole
why
new
they went with who they went with as a head coach. Because if there's somebody who's probably had the most efficient passing game in the last few years, it's the Buffalo Bills. So it better change, and they better get some sort of productivity out of these receiving core, because they are pretty deep there. I don't think they have a number one. I think they have 5 number 2s and 3s.
Right. Okay.
And that's a problem for some receivers too. Mm-hmm. When you come from a team where there was a number 1 and you're a number 2, you can have a better year sometime than that top receiver, because you don't have the best cornerback guarding you all game long.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you think, with the comparisons that they're making with Wan'Dale Robinson to Tyreek Hill, do you think that was a factor in them drafting him, with the fact
Who's making a comparison? The comparison is because he's fast and short?
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. But let me just say, do you think that could be a factor as to why? I mean, Mike Kafka is the offensive coordinator, and he worked with Tyreek Hill, for many years. But so maybe that's a reason. I don't know.
Put him out there and let's see. Put him out there and let's see.
But you got him. I mean, you basically have the same receiver in Kadarius Toney that you drafted last year.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I heard is like comparisons to Toney, and I went, really? Why would you do that again?
So you have the
maybe a better
same two wide receivers, but you also have all the other wide receivers you have too.
Here's the other reason why I think they drafted him:
Galladay and Sterling Shepard, and
I think special teams is an area where the Giants have not been all that dynamic in the last couple of years, and so I could see him fitting in a kickoff and punt return and having a pretty big impact potentially in that area. I can also see him being more flexible than some of these other receivers in ways that maybe the Giants offense has not shown in many years. And if we're going to try and minimize a long drop back, sort of traditional downfield passing game in lieu of a mix it up, short passing and run dominant game, then having somebody like that who can catch short passes or do end around or catch some pitches is going to help loosen up that defense. So speed always helps in the NFL. I don't care if you're 6'9" or 5'3". It's always going to help.
There you go. So look at the rest of the class. Kayvon Thibodeau, pick number 5 overall. And by the way, the Giants' first pick in this draft was KT, and the Giants' first pick in last year's draft was KT. So maybe they like those initials. But
that was our moment of things only Johnny picks up on.
But on that note, the Giants, Graham Gano, for how many years now has been number 5. He gave up his number 5 for Kayvon Thibodeau, and Kayvon Thibodeau had to make a donation to a charity or whatever it was. But Graham Gano will be wearing number 9 now. Number 9. So Evan Neal, no brainer. The best offensive tackle. It's.
Let's hope so. Let's certainly hope so.
Then obviously Robinson. Then you got an offensive lineman in Joshua Izudu. Then you got Cordell Flott, cornerback, out of LSU.
That's the future right there.
All right, there you go. Daniel Bellinger, tight end out of San Diego State, first pick in the 4th round.
They can use some help at tight end.
Yeah. Dane Belton, safety out of Iowa, also in the 4th round. Micah McFadden. I wish the Giants, picked a Micah last year in the draft. What do you think?
Well,
that would have been nice.
nicer,
That would have been
Micah.
nice. But Micah McFadden, linebacker still. So let's see what he can do out of Indiana in the first pick in the first of 3 picks in the
the Giants might be thin at linebacker this year.
Yeah.
Who knows where Martinez is going to be coming off an injury?
We'll see. Well, he's had an injury the last 2 years, so he's played like the first couple games of each season, and that's it. So DJ Davidson, defensive tackle, pick right after McFadden. They had back-to-back picks in the 5th round, and then also in the 5th round they got Marcus McKeithen, another offensive lineman out of North Carolina, and then in the 6th round they got Darian Beavers, another linebacker out of Cincinnati. So
we'll see, right? We'll see where everything goes.
We'll see how they all flush out, so to speak. But I mean, I thought they had a decent draft. I think the Jets had a better draft.
Just had more picks.
Yeah.
And I think that they went with the best available talent according to them as opposed to necessarily what they needed. Now, in the Jets upper management's defense, they need a lot. So it's not like, they only need a cornerback and a tight end. They need a lot. So I think the Jets, by all accounts, people are raving about what the Jets did, especially in that 1st round.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
And the 2nd round. Because they,
let's see.
We'll
here.
see. Those guys know better than me.
The Jets
maybe.
Maybe.
Years past with the Giants, I wouldn't say so. All right, what's next?
Hold on one second. I'm just looking at this here. The Jets had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Giants actually had more picks. The Jets had 10 picks. The Giants had 11 picks.
Yeah.
So
I think the Giants had I don't know. The Jets got quality players.
They did.
It's not that they didn't get
both teams had damn good drafts. Let's leave it at that. Let's see what happens. Obviously, the proof's in the pudding, right? We'll find out how they play this year and for years to come. But we'll see how it turns out. So, all right.
Let me ask you guys a quick question since you're Giants fans. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going anywhere. At least not until what's his name gets on the field in Cleveland. Sean Watson.
Right.
Any interest in Baker Mayfield?
No.
Okay.
Not at all. Too small. Too small for New York.
Okay. By the way, the reason I say this, and again, we know Watson's not going to play the whole season, so I don't see why Cleveland gets rid of Mayfield.
They don't.
He's still.
Unless he demands a trade, he's not going anywhere. He'll be there.
He doesn't. He's not going to demand anything.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. I was watching the other day. Great job by ESPN. Listen, Mayfield's getting kind of a bum rap. Not that he was a really great quarterback, but he did some good things for Cleveland. And I'm watching them talk about it on the Get Up show and the morning show on ESPN. And all they show is the same half a dozen clips. They have it in the background or whatever of him getting sacked and throwing interceptions. That's all they show. They don't show him throwing any touchdowns. They don't show him, winning any games. It's like they're painting him as this terrible quarterback. And he's really not. I mean, he's how many games did the Browns win, in like the 2 prior seasons when he got there?
Right.
Like 2 or 3 or whatever. And, and last year, I think he was hurt in like week 3 or something. And he, instead of going to get the surgery, right? He had a torn labrum. Instead of going to get the surgery, tried to play through it. And he wasn't very good. I don't know. He's getting painted as like just this horrible quarterback. And he's honestly the best they've had in Cleveland, maybe since who? Sipe?
Oh, the best since Johnny Football.
I would say, well,
yeah.
How long did Johnny Football last, though?
Yeah. So
my argument there is there a big difference between Baker Mayfield and Johnny? I mean,
no. Baker Mayfield is Johnny.
Baker
Mayfield is Johnny Manziel. That is a little bit more, I don't know, sane.
I disagree with that. He's a game. Look, he's a game under 500 for Cleveland. For crying out loud.
That's true too.
You know what I mean?
Well,
This is Cleveland. They look, 2015 they were 3-13. 2016 they were 1-15. 2017 they didn't win a game. Then Baker Mayfield came in. I think week 3 or 4 or whatever of 2018. They went 7-8-1. I think he set the record for rookie touchdowns. He's 29-30 as a starter. 2019 wasn't so great. They were 6-10, but then 2020 11-5. I mean, this guy's been better for Cleveland than any quarterback they've had in a while, and yet he's being painted as.
I think here's the issue with Baker Mayfield is that he has a fairly high contract, and is he that much better than what most of these teams already have? Now, if I'm the New York Giants,
is he better than Daniel Jones?
Absolutely. If the Giants had a plan, if there was somebody in the offseason who we knew was going to be a free agent, and we knew that there was a 50, 60, 70% chance that they were going to go to the Giants, then I'd say, okay, kind of roll through one more year. But is it worth signing a Baker Mayfield? How many years does he have left on his contract?
He's got 1 year at $18 million.
Sign him for 1 year. See what happens.
That's the question.
Who would you rather have, Baker Mayfield or Jimmy Garoppolo? Assuming Garoppolo's shoulder is okay. Who would you rather have? Nobody is taking either of them, and it's a little bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah.
And he was drafted in. It was 2018. He was taken 1. Saquon Barkley was taken 2 overall. So this is the 5th year. So this 1 year left on his contract is his option year.
Right.
So,
for $18 million, it seems like a steal.
Right.
I'm saying,
would I rather re-sign him to 1 year than the Giants aren't going to extend an option on Daniel Jones. Yeah. So if they were going after Mitchell Trubisky, I'd rather have Baker Mayfield than Mitchell Trubisky.
I'd rather have Baker Mayfield over Mitchell Trubisky. But remember, the Giants do have Tyrod Taylor, though.
Well, yeah.
Who would you rather have, Baker Mayfield or Tyrod Taylor?
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah. I think Mayfield's getting kind of a bad rap from the press, and
he is.
I think
he makes great Geico commercials, so I do like that.
Well, that's the whole other thing is the personality and all that.
There is something to be said there. There's obviously something there that makes people hesitant to sign him. Having said that, other teams have made some much higher profile acquisitions with guys based completely on their talent, who have way more question marks about their personality and their legal status in the world than Baker Mayfield.
Right.
So I don't personally have an issue with Baker Mayfield. I think he's a 500 quarterback. I think he's going to be that guy. He's Kirk Cousins light. I can't see him leading a team to a championship, but I could certainly see him taking a team that was 6-10 last year, or whatever, 6-11 last year, and turning them into a 9-7 team or whatever the hell it is.
Well, look, 2020, we talked about the Cleveland offense, right? And it kind of came together, and they went 11. Look, you say that about any quarterback who's not terrible. You put good people around him, and he can succeed. And certainly Mayfield falls into that category. But they had that playoff loss, I think, was to the Ravens, right? Epic game with the Ravens. It was going back and forth, right? And Jackson got diarrhea or something. He came out of the bathroom and ran onto the field and led the Ravens down for the winning score. But moments later, Baker Mayfield had just led Cleveland up the other way for the, it's one of those games where whoever has the ball last kind of wins. So I don't know. He's got upside.
Don't you think Baker Mayfield's a top 20 quarterback?
I would think so, yeah.
And how many teams are there in the NFL?
32.
I mean, the one person that people rank higher, and maybe he'll prove it this year, he's got a lot of talent around him, is Derek Carr. I'm not convinced on Carr. I'm not convinced on Tua. I think he's right there with all of those guys. I think he's right there with Justin Fields. I think he's right there with Zach Wilson. I think he's right there with all these guys.
Let me ask you this: let's just assume he's going to start the season, right? because Watson's not going to. Let's say Watson's out for half the year, right? Maybe he gets a year suspension. It goes to arbitration. They cut it in half. Mayfield comes out, plays pretty well. First 8 games. Right? They're 6-2, 5-3. He's looked good. Watson's coming in. Now maybe Cleveland's like, okay, we don't want Baker Mayfield anymore. Maybe supposedly there's guys that don't want to on the team that don't want to play with him. He's toxic in the locker room, but we've kept it together this far. Now we can get rid of him. The Giants are 2-6. Daniel Jones looks like Daniel Jones. Do you make a move then?
No, because at that point the season
because it doesn't
over.
Unless you're going to re-sign him, it doesn't do anything.
I think you got to have him in there from the beginning, competing and winning this team over. I think the one thing that Baker Mayfield could do is if he gets enough snaps in the preseason and maybe comes in for Jones for in the beginning of the year and rallies the team, he can get the team behind him a little bit. Again, can he win 2 or 3 more games for the Giants that Daniel Jones would not be able to? Yeah, I do. I do think so. But I don't think he's going to lead them to the promised land. But what free agents are coming up in as far as NFL quarterbacks? There's not much out there.
No, there's not.
Yeah,
really.
well, and that's the other thing. This is his last year, right? So it's going to cost you that $18 million, or if you get him mid-season, it's going to cost some of that. If nobody else, if he's playing well, somebody else might want him. But maybe what if he plays really pretty good? And then the Giants say, all right, well, do we see anyone in the upcoming draft that we really like, that we want to bring in? And to your point, are there any other good free agents? And if other teams aren't clamoring for him, maybe you get him at a pretty good deal. You could sign him for a 3-year deal or something.
Sure.
The other thing that I would do, who's the Rams' backup quarterback? Sign with one of these teams for 1 year and then see where things square out. Because, look, there's teams like Baltimore and Buffalo and Cincinnati and now Cleveland, the Broncos, is Baker Mayfield better than Davis Mills?
John Wolford.
Yeah. Is he as good or as better than Tua Tagovailoa? I don't know. Is he better than Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins in Pittsburgh? Now, Pittsburgh they have their rookie who I think they're going to be pretty hot on, and I think he's going to wind up being a starter there. But for a year.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, one of those gentlemen is no longer in Pittsburgh.
Who's no longer in Pittsburgh?
Dwayne Haskins.
Well, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but
very unfortunate situation.
Is Sam Darnold better than Baker Mayfield?
Is Sam Darnold better than Baker Mayfield? No.
Is Aaron Rodgers better than
Baker Mayfield?
I couldn't even say that. With
couldn't even get that out.
No. 2020 Baker Mayfield playoffs, 2 games, 44 for 71. That's 62%, 467 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 INT.
There's at least 6-7 teams
sacked 8 times,
that I think
rating
have
of 94.
There's at least 6 or 7 teams that have as good or worse quarterbacks than what Baker Mayfield would bring.
Right.
I think Baker Mayfield and Carson Wentz is a toss-up. I think Baker Mayfield is better than Drew Lock. I think Baker Mayfield he's a toss-up with Jalen Hurts. I think he's better than Daniel Jones. I think he's a toss-up with Taysom Hill. I think he's a toss-up with Kirk Cousins. Is he better than Jared Goff? Is Goff that much better? That's a toss-up. That's 7. Is he as good as Justin Fields? Yeah. That's 8. Is he better than Sam Darnold? Yes. That's 9.
It'll be interesting to see if
who's going to be the Falcons starting quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Philippe Franks? Isn't that who they? Look.
Well, you know what? Listen, if he has a great half a season or 3/4 of a season or whatever, he'll be a free agent next year, and we'll see who is interested in him. Maybe that's a way the Giants could go.
Oh, Marcus Mariota. They signed
That's
Marcus
it,
Mariota.
Yeah, that's.
And Felipe
Again,
Franks is
again. Is Baker Mayfield that much worse than Marcus Mariota?
Mm-hmm. No. So,
There's something there, though.
There you go.
I think there's a case for Baker. That's all I'm saying.
A case for Baker.
Baker case.
Baker case. All right. Baker case. All right. Got to before we finish up football, I got a quick question for you.
Are we done?
We pretty much. I got a quick question for you. You like Tom Brady's new contract, even though it doesn't start until he wants it to?
What, being the announcer?
Yeah, the Fox News, good for him.
Fox News, lucrative deal. He's the lead NFL analyst. He's going to be on every high-profile game. 10-year deal, $375 million. He has not made that money playing as a quarterback, and he's got that money coming to him after he retires, whenever he wants. 10 years.
We'll see if they're still broadcasting football on television in 2030,
That's true.
2037.
It could be Joey and Sally commenting on Apple TV.
It might be on.
Brady drops back. That reconstructed robotic knee is looking good this season. The 70-year-old is looking sharp, having his best year, winning his 27th
Super
MVP
Bowl
award.
Well, listen, he said he thought he could play till he was 45, right? He'll be 45 this
in
season.
August. Yep.
So he might hang it up after that. If I'm every NFL team that's going up, and this is not necessarily an easy thing to do, but we know one thing that you can do to sort of short circuit or make things tough for Tom Brady. It's true of any quarterback. Hit him, right?
Well, maybe they can open up his electrical panel and stick a crescent wrench inside, so maybe shorts him out a little bit.
If Brady wins the Super Bowl this year, he will retire. If he does not, he will play for another. He will play till he's 47. That's my prediction.
So so another 3 years, or he wins another Super Bowl, whichever comes first.
I think if he wins a Super Bowl, he will retire.
All right. Maybe the entire NFL should just lay down, let him win another one. So
I think every team in the NFL should just lay the licks on him as much as they can.
That's what they've been trying to do for 30 years.
Yeah, I know, but you got to double it up here. Blitz every down. Get somebody on him, and then just make him want to go do TV more.
There you go.
It's not like he doesn't get hit.
You got $375 million waiting for you.
No, it's not that he doesn't. I'm not, but when you can get to him consistently and put some heat on him, it makes him unhappy.
There you go.
Let's see how good. I just hope that he blocks Aaron Rodgers from winning another
MVP.
I love it. Just love it. Let Rodgers win all the MVPs. Let Brady win another championship, at least an NFC championship.
There you go. All right. And one thing was pointed out to me the other day. I just wanted to bring this up. A little interesting information. Remember the Legion of Boom?
Sure.
Unfortunately,
yeah. Okay. Where are they now? Let's see. Well, Cam Chancellor obviously retired because of his injury, but Brandon Browner. He's in prison for 8 years for attempted murder. Richard Sherman was arrested with that whole.
He's still playing though. Technically,
is that where
he was arrested and received 5 minutes. He beat the crap out of his in-laws' door or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And Earl Thomas. Well, there you go. So I mean, there's
Sherman's still playing though, right?
Sherman is a free agent, I believe. He's not signed to any team right now.
I think he has not been signed.
Yeah.
How old is Sherman? 35?
He's got to be in there somewhere. Yeah, he was. He wasn't a rookie when they were playing in 2012. So
might even be older than that.
Let's see, Richard Sherman. Richard Sherman is
34 years old.
34 years old. He just turned 34. Yeah, and he is a free agent. He has not been signed by any team. So he was drafted. So it was his second year that they.
The Bucs are going to sign him again.
It's his third year when they won the Super Bowl. The Bucs are going to sign him. Yeah. Well, why the hell not, right? So there you go. All right, and there you have it. All right. So that should do it for football.
All right, what are we on to now? Johnny's chili recipe?
We're talking about chili now. Let's talk about chili now. do we want to do our top players list first, or do we want to talk about basketball and finish with the top players?
I mean, do we need to talk about basketball?
Well, we kind of mentioned it throughout all the other sports that we talked about. So let's do our top players. Let's do our top players. All right. Tonight's list, as we've been doing over the last several weeks, is not a top 10 of sorts, but it's a top players list from basketball teams. This week is top Phoenix Suns of all time. Top Phoenix Suns of all time. All right, so we're going to give you our starting five, and then we'll our second team top five, starting five, and then our reserves as well. So here we go. So kicking it off, we have our starting point guard, Mr. Steve Nash, or as RadioPete put it when he wrote in, what did you say? Crappy Nets coach or something?
Yeah. So I don't think. Yeah,
something like
we'll
that.
go with crappy because that's
Crappy Nets coach. There you go. Starting and the first team starting shooting guard would be Mr. Paul Westphal. Moving on to our first team starting small forward is Sean Marion. Of course, our first team starting power forward is Sir Charles himself, Mr. Charles Barkley. And our first team center is Amari Stoudemire. I almost wore my Knicks Amari Stoudemire jersey in that respect, but decided against it.
You guys don't know what you're talking about with three of these picks, but that's okay.
We don't. Well, you
just two.
I was going to say three. You picked three of them too.
Well, yeah, I always get one wrong.
So none of us know what we're talking about on one of them.
Nah,
so go ahead.
Exactly.
So talk about them. Go ahead. Let's talk about them. So I guess Pete was done.
Pete's like, screw you. Well, let's go through the second team and then we'll talk about it.
That was good. I thought you were like, I'm going home. Forget it.
Go through the second team and the reserves and we'll talk about it.
I know I don't know what I'm talking about, but you don't have to say it. I'm out of here.
That's great. I love
it. I will say this. Let's go through the second team and the reserves, and then I'm going to make some points where the press and the way in which we talk about certain players has pushed certain players into immortality.
When they shouldn't be?
I don't know if they shouldn't be, but
I be over other players?
I got some stats. I got some stats.
Please give me the stats, because I know we're going to be talking about specifically
the
the second team point guard and small forward. I understand you want to be talking about. So let's talk about that. Okay. Second team point guard is going to be Mr. Kevin Johnson. Second team shooting guard is going to be Mr. Walter Davis. Second team small forward, Connie Hawkins. Second team power forward is Mr. Tom Chambers. And second team center is Alvin Adams. All right. And for good measure, we're going to talk about our we're going to mention the reserves as well. Harry?
Sure.
All right. So our reserves are Devin Booker, Larry Nance, Dick Van Arsdale, Jason Kidd, and DeAndre Ayton. All right. So talk away, Mr. Lug Nutz.
Steve Nash is a great player, and he had some great years where he won an MVP. Did he win 2 MVPs with Phoenix or just one?
I believe he won 2, didn't he?
Don't know. I questioned one of the MVPs. Not me to really question it, but I get it. I get why he was so loved. He was a great player. Kevin Johnson averaged 18.7 points a game.
He won both with the Suns.
Kevin Johnson averaged 18.7 points a game, 9.5 assists, and shot almost 50% from the field in 12 seasons with Phoenix. Okay. He had years as a point guard while averaging over 9 assists a game, of averaging 20 points, 18, 20, 19.7, 22.5, and 22.2, and 20.4. Okay. He played longer for Phoenix, so he's going to have a number of years there where maybe it was on the downside of his career. I know this is controversial because Steve Nash was such an incredible player, but Kevin Johnson was a better point guard than Steve Nash. He averaged 9 assists and 19.5 points per game in 105 playoff games. In an era where the point guard didn't score regularly 20 points a game
Mhm.
on a team where he was the third option. Kevin Johnson doesn't even make it into people's top 3 because Jason Kidd and Chris Paul get more. And look, at the end of the day, Chris Paul might jump ahead of these guys.
Yeah, I mean, there's time left.
Kevin
for Chris Paul.
Johnson does not get the recognition that he deserves.
He gets recognition from me. It was a tough decision. I got to be honest with you. I was back and forth between Steve Nash and Kevin Johnson. There was just so much. And maybe you're right. Maybe it had a lot to do with the media and everything, because it's not like we live in Phoenix, right? It's not like we watch every Suns game and so forth and so on. And we're going back years too, obviously. But still, they were right there for me. I'm like, Steve Nash, Kevin Johnson. Steve Nash, Kevin Johnson. It honestly could have been either way. Maybe my mind was swayed with the whole, Steve Nash got a lot more, press as the favorite son of Phoenix, other than Kevin Johnson.
And here's my deciding factor. Steve Nash, his entire career, was a defensive liability. And Kevin Johnson arguably was one of the best defensive point guards of that era. So Kevin Johnson averaged more points per game. Kevin Johnson averaged more assists per game. Kevin Johnson averaged more steals per game. He shot equal in field goal percentage. Actually, he was higher field goal percentage by a slim margin. They were both great shooters. Okay. And he did not play as many games. His career was not as long as Steve Nash. Nash, hung around a little longer. But in all of the career categories, Kevin Johnson outplayed Steve Nash. Neither of them won a championship with Phoenix. They both played on teams that went deep into the playoffs. I just want to give Kevin Johnson his due. I don't think he gets his due as a point guard. Mm-hmm. And I think this is an opportunity to kind of say he was that good. As good as you remember him, he was better. He was really consistent. And I would argue that he played on a team where he didn't have as good a supporting cast for some of it as Nash did. Anyway, just my 2 cents.
Okay. Oh,
yeah, it was pretty much a toss-up. The reason I gave Nash the edge, and certainly this is not Kevin Johnson's fault, but he had some injuries, and he just didn't. There were seasons where he just wasn't playing as many games. Statistically, they're pretty close. Other than I think Johnson has a considerable edge in points per game. I think was 4, but a lot of the other stuff was pretty close. So
that's what I'm saying. The fact that it was close. I mean, Nash's assist numbers were always just staggering. But then you look at it and you're like, Kevin Johnson was as good or better most of this. I mean, it's incredible. This organization has had some incredible point guards.
Yes.
When you take Kevin Johnson, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, and now Chris Paul, I don't know. I don't know if there's maybe the Lakers. I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been a basketball organization that's had better point guards.
Yeah. But I don't think that Steve Nash was a clear and obvious winner in this. It was razor close.
There's many.
Johnson didn't have as many games.
Right. Yeah. There are many people who. Kevin Johnson played more games for Phoenix.
Yeah, but I mean, he had
overall. Yeah,
right. Absolutely. He had longer tenure with the team, but there were a number of seasons where he just wasn't even half a season or slightly more than half.
Absolutely.
And again, that's not his fault. He was injured. But I kind of I took that into account.
But I mean, there's many people. If you go to the casual fan of the NBA and you say name the best Phoenix Sun player of all time, Steve Nash is going to win that more times than not. It's crazy.
Fair enough. And what's your other argument?
Well, I think Connie Hawkins. He didn't play as long as maybe as Sean Marion. Connie Hawkins was a pure small forward. I just think he was. Hall of Famer, just an incredible basketball player. Marion was an interesting player, and I will give Sean Marion credit.
Sure.
I think after a lot of he did not have the natural talent shooting wise that a lot of people did, but he was an incredible defensive player and really just a great overall player. But I think Connie Hawkins was a better.
Well, I mean, you take a look at stats there. I mean, obviously Sean Marion, won a championship. Connie Hawkins did not.
Well, Marion didn't win it with the Suns, though.
Well, no, I just mean in general, but
right.
But yeah, 16 seasons to 7.
Who did Sean Marion win a championship with?
Oh, geez.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
How many minutes did he play on that championship team?
3, 4. In any event, so look at the stats. Then you look at the stats. I mean, Sean Marion has more boards per game. They're close in points per game, 15.2 to 16.5, so a point apart. But Connie Hawkins edges out. But Sean Marion played many more years too than
Connie Hawkins got hurt.
Yeah,
but if you look, Hawkins also played a lot of his time on other teams where, his career, he averaged 18 and a half and almost 9 rebounds. But in his time with Phoenix,
right,
20.5 points per game and 9 rebounds.
Sure,
almost 5 assists. So, he was a pretty prolific player. I also think that we have to sometimes look, guys who scored 20 points a game in the 70s. That was a hell of a lot of a bigger accomplishment than guys who were scoring 20 points a game in the early 2000s.
Fair enough. But so that argument wasn't as close as the Kevin Johnson argument.
Yeah,
so it was a little lighter on there. All right. So let's discuss the others. Let's discuss the ones you were having.
I think all the other ones make a lot of sense. I think I put Amari Stoudemire at the center. I think he did play center with Phoenix. His numbers were great. Obviously, I have sort of a bad taste in my mouth because I think it was one of the worst trades the Knicks ever made to get him. And Barkley's a no-brainer. I mean, has there ever been anybody who went to a team and sort of sparked energy into an organization like Charles Barkley did when he went from the Sixers to the Suns? I don't think so. I mean,
yeah,
they were one of those teams that year in and year out were right there battling the damn Bulls. They just couldn't get over the hump like everybody else.
Exactly. You're right on that. All right. Any talk about the reserves you want to mention, or
the reserves? Who wound up as our reserves? I didn't even see.
Our reserves. We wound up having 5 tonight because we had a 3-way tie except for one. Devin Booker actually got 5 points. Everybody else got 2.
Devin Booker is probably going to wind up being, the number one. Look, one thing I will say, Paul Westphal. If you look at take out his 1 year that he didn't play very much for the Suns, and look at his years, I think he averaged like 24.5 points. Went to the NBA Finals. I think it was in '76. Was a hell of a player on that Suns team.
Right.
Devin Booker, though, if he stays in Phoenix, which I hope he does, Devin Booker might become the best Suns player of all time.
Sure.
You guys didn't give much love to Devin Booker.
Well,
I mean,
look, Westphal back in the day, and when scoring wasn't as high, averaged just as much as Booker, and Booker's points per game is pretty good. I will say this: Walter Davis, to me, was just a workhorse, and he did it for so long and was such a part of that Suns team. If Devin Booker plays 7-8 years with the Suns, 9 years with the Suns, and he's getting close, maybe wins a championship, Booker jumps to the top of this list. But it was hard for me. It was hard for me to say in their prime, who do I want more? And the reason why I say that is I think Westphal and Davis were slightly better, more resilient players than Booker's.
If they go to the finals and they win a championship this year,
they went to the finals, but yeah.
Well, if they win the championship this year, then I'll immediately take this list and put Booker up, move Westphal down to second, and then make Walter Davis the reserve.
I think it's just because I personally think Booker's best years are to come, and I think he will climb past both of those guys. As far as the best shooting guard in the Suns, maybe one of the best shooting guards in the NBA.
Right.
But I put him on the reserves only because of the legacy that Walter Davis and Paul Westphal have with the Suns. Westphal as a player and a coach.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really why I put them there.
And Larry Nance, Dick Van Arsdale, Jason Kidd.
Yeah, when Jason Kidd is on your reserve. That's
again,
a pretty good guard.
I love Jason.
I
love Jason Kidd, but he's another one that I just don't understand the adoration for him that a lot of people have. He's a good player. Is he a top 10 point guard of all time? I don't think so, but that's just me.
If you're a Nets fan like me, you love Jason Kidd,
right?
And we certainly should, maybe more so than.
And I like him as a person and a player. I mean, personally, I think Jason Kidd is fantastic, and him and Steve Nash just don't rise to nearly to the top like they do for everybody else. Plus, I when I think of Jason Kidd, I don't think of him as a Sun. I think of him as a Net and a Mav.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how a lot of these guys kind of rotated through the same teams, but yeah.
As a matter of fact, yeah. Well, did you enjoy him on his final team that he played? I don't
even remember. It was at the.
It was the Knicks.
Yeah, I know. The Knicks always gets these great people at
the end of their careers. Yeah.
He had a heck of a game as a Knick.
He had a heck of a
game.
Yeah, he's right up there with guys I wish we had when they wwere 25. Him and Derrick Rose.
Remember that Thursday night game against the Bulls where he
That's right.
had some points and stuff?
That's right.
Exactly.
Bob Mack. If the Knicks could have Bob McAdoo, Derrick Rose, and Jason
Stoudemire. How about
prime.
Stoudemire? You'd take
Stoudemire.
Stoudemire.
Absolutely. Sure. All right.
Tom Chambers, too, another guy people forget about. Did he make it to our second team?
No. Tom Chambers is on, power forward on our our second.
Great guy, and I don't know if Alvin Adams made the list at all.
Alvin Adams is a second team
center. Another guy. I remember watching those Suns teams. They'd be on late in the afternoon on Sundays. They'd be playing, the Lakers or somebody. It'd be 173 to 169 in the third quarter. Alvin Adams was a hell of a
173 to 169 in the third quarter. That's great.
Hell of a tough guy, and
that was when everybody was D'ing up. That was great. Yeah,
and Larry Nance, I mean,
an all-star game,
great player, and his son's not bad either. Dick Van Arsdale, did he make it?
He's on the reserves.
Reserves.
And how about Truck Robinson? No Truck Robinson.
No Truck. Truck missed the cut as well as the person we're going to bring up in the next.
No Thunder.
Let's bring him up.
Well, let's bring him up in this week's Old Balls.
Old Balls.
Harry, tell us who this week's Old Balls recipient is. Speaking of
this week's recipient is none other than Thunder Dan Marley. 14 years in the NBA with the Phoenix Suns, the Miami Heat, and the Cleveland Cavaliers. He won a bronze medal with the U.S. national team at the '88 Summer Olympics. That's something to be proud of. And a gold medal at the FIBA. He won a gold membership at Gold's Gym back in 1987. Look, I mean, I think when you think of Dan Marley, you just think of somebody who I think of him in a Phoenix Suns uniform. He was a great defensive player. I think he was a 2-time or 3-time All-NBA defensive team, 3-time NBA All-Star, and averaged 11 points a game, 5 rebounds, 4.5 rebounds, 2.9 assists. He was the ultimate sort of six-man / starter / role player on those Suns teams, and it seemed like when you think of guys who come up with clutch 3-point or 2-point shots from the outside, you got to put him up there with the Robert Ory's of the world and the Steve Kerrs and the BJ Armstrongs. He just seemed to be a clutch guy. He was, part of those teams with Kevin Johnson and Charles Barkley, and made it to the finals in 93.
Yep.
He's just one of those great role players. I don't think of him as being better than any of the other guys, certainly as a 2 guard, maybe as a small forward. But he was really an integral part of those Suns teams that went deep into the playoffs those years and went to the finals against the Bulls. And I just think of him. Yeah, he played for Miami and played 1 year for Cleveland, but he's a Phoenix Sun, and he was fun to watch. There was a lot of great role players in the NBA in the 90s, and he was certainly one of them. Dan Marley, this week's recipient of the Old Balls Award.
Old balls.
All right, there you go. That wraps up this segment, if you will. Any chat we want? I mean, we did talk about basketball pretty much.
Well, look, big comeback for the Bucks. I was,
huge. What, 10 minutes left? They were down 13.
Yeah, this is big, and the Grizzlies are up by 27 at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't understand that series either. I thought, looking at Golden State the other day, I thought they're going to wrap that up tonight, and they still might, even though they're down by 27.
Yeah, this might almost be almost like a 3-0 game where you come out and you get whooped. And look, don't forget, Memphis was, what were they, 20-3 or
20-5 without
20-5 without John Morant, which
yeah.
I mean, if and certainly your boy Joker deserving of the MVP, but sort of a strike against Morant in that case. So if your team is really good without you, you really can't be the most valuable player on the team.
Right. Exactly.
Even if you're the best player on the team. But
there is one thing that has kind of risen to me, and I think that Eric Spoelstra and Mike Buckholz, or whatever his name is on the Bucks, they both deserve more credit as head coaches, because they don't have a ton of talent, but what they do have are teams that buy into their brand of basketball and at times can play really good team ball and play defense like there's no other. Yes, the Heat have some superstars. The Bucks obviously have a MVP in Giannis, but neither of these teams on paper you can say have less talent than Phoenix or well, they certainly have more talent than Dallas or the Sixers or any of it. They just seem this is where coaching does make a difference. And one of the things that made me sad for Doc Rivers yesterday was having to yell at his team about the importance of a game 5 tied up 2-2. They just look like a team that did not give a shit about that game. And look, I don't know. The Sixers can certainly come back and win 2 in a row. I don't think they're going to, though. I think this is Miami's. I think Miami made a definitive statement last night. And it wasn't as if, we beat you and, we let you back in the game and it was close. They beat them, and then they put they kept the foot on the accelerator.
Yeah.
And that's without, and let's call fair. The Heat are playing without Kyle Lowry. Now, that's not the same as playing without Joel Embiid, but he's a big part of this team. So you take this Heat team, okay, and if they can get past the Sixers and they're going to play either the Celtics or the Bucks, this is going to be a tough Eastern Conference Finals. Whoever gets to the NBA Finals is going to be through a long, tough series.
Yep.
It is not going to be easy.
Actually, I heard someone say before the game, not having Kyle Lowry might actually help them because the floor spreads out a little bit more, and they're forced to do some different things. Now, I don't think that's the reason why they beat Philly by 35. But sometimes when you get a change or a break from what you do, you discover some new ways. And look, Philly is Joel Embiid, and Joel Embiid is Philly, and obviously James Harden did nothing and was just looking to Embiid, and he's got to be exhausted, and his eye socket was broken and his fingers got torn. It's going to be it's going to have to be 2 superhuman efforts by him.
Well, Embiid and Harden have to get more shots. They have to get more shots.
Well, right, but Harden's got to also make shots, and he needs.
Harden wasn't horrible.
Yeah. The other night he was hitting everything he was throwing up.
Yeah, he did finally come through and have that game. He needs probably another one of those games, but I don't know.
He had a lot of turnovers. I don't think he's the guy to have the ball in your hand. I think he needs to not be the playmaker. He's got a lot of assists, yes, but his assist to turnover ratio is maybe not what you want on a championship team.
Fair enough.
And he shot 5 of 13, not great, but Embiid shot 7 of 12. The glaring thing there is that not that they need to be getting 20 shots each, not 25 total.
Right.
That's what they need. Maxey 2 of 10. Green 2 of only 4 shots.
Yeah,
it's 4 shots. Tobias Harris 5 of 14, minus 27.
There's been a whole bunch of cases throughout the playoffs, and maybe it's true all the time, but just entire teams going cold.
Yeah. There's been a lot of lopsided scores the last couple of days.
Yeah. So, but I don't know. So, let's assume Memphis is going to win tonight. We still like Golden State. Yes?
Yeah.
And hard to bet against Milwaukee.
Boy, Milwaukee proved something to me tonight. I think you could take. I think the Sixers have the potential. I think Milwaukee, Boston, and Miami, any of those 3 teams can win the championship this year. I really do. I do think Milwaukee will need Chris Middleton back. But the fact that they're beating Boston and coming back from 15 down.
Yeah. And, listen, Dallas is certainly...
Don't count them out.
No, don't count them out, but they're just not as good as Phoenix. And
they're just nowhere near as deep. They're just Phoenix, the fact that Phoenix is having some struggles is not a great sign for Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
And the fact that Chris Paul needs to yell at teenagers, it's a little troubling.
Well,
he's so easy to root against. He's such an asshole.
Yeah, I know.
He's so easy to root against.
Well, and listen, he's hearing the clock ticking, right? Father Time is catching up, and probably every second he's on the court, somewhere in the back of his mind, he's got to be worried about injuries. Is it going to happen again? So, but he's goddamn good.
I will say this: props to Giannis. He's doing what Giannis always does. The key to the Bucks right now has been Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday had a really good playoff last year when they won it. He's having an even better playoff this year. Mm-hmm. Drew Holiday has been spectacular, and he's a big reason why the Celtics are. He's at least putting some pressure on some of these Celtic players. I mean, the big players for the Celtics, Tatum and Brown, they're scoring. They're doing their thing, 34 and 26 respectively. Tatum took 29 shots, only shot 2 of 11 from 3-point range. But they're just not getting, Giannis is just dominating down low. And the Bucks are a good team. They're a team. Mm-hmm. They have consistent guys in Lopez and Portis and Allen that come in and do their thing, game in and game out. And that's what I think separates them from some of these other teams.
There you go. Let me ask you, if Drew Holiday was still on the Sixers, you think things would be different in Philly?
I don't know. If Jimmy Butler was still on the Sixers, I think things would be different in Philly. I think Jimmy Butler left Philly for the same reason that James Harden went to Philly and wanted Ben Simmons gone. I just think that Jimmy Butler saw that there was a lack of commitment on the defensive end in Philly because there was no reason for him to go to Miami. He would have been better off staying in Philly if he wants to win it. But he knew that it wasn't going to change. And he went. He's playing for a guy comes from the Pat Riley tree. They're never going to. The Heat have never been a team in the history of that organization who does not play great defense. So props to Jimmy Butler because I do think it's his team. I don't think Jimmy Butler gets enough credit for being the star that he is. And in the playoffs, Jimmy Butler's an even better player. So the Heat could win it. The Heat could win this thing. I still think Golden State, even though they're down by 27, I think if they are consistent, I don't think anybody can cover them.
Right.
Now, a team like Milwaukee could dominate Golden State inside, but I don't know of anybody who can stop the big three. Golden State moves the ball better than any team I've seen.
Yeah, you can't
since the 71 Knicks. They just move the ball, and they have 3 of the best shooters in the league. So we'll see. They're again though, they have stinkers. Everybody has these stinker games.
It's just a matter of when that stinker pops up and what the other team's doing with it. So
listen, I think we expressed some reserve about the Holiday trade,
right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's turned out pretty well.
Last year the different.
Who's the guy that got rid of was Brunson, I think.
Right.
Who's doing okay too. But,
well, now he's on Dallas, but yeah,
right. But I mean,
his father played for the Knicks.
And his grandfather's Doyle Brunson, the poker player.
That's right, the oil baron. The difference between Drew Holiday now and even last year is the ball doesn't stick in his hand as much. They move the ball. They're a methodical team. They look like they're playing at half speed some of the time, but you have to give Giannis so much attention that when you have guys like Lopez and Portis and Holiday, they're going to get their open shots and they're going to make a higher percentage of them. And Grayson Allen has made it easier for Drew Holiday in this current lineup without Middleton to score because you can't leave Allen alone. So you can't collapse on Holiday and Giannis now anymore. Right. You're either going to give up 40 to Giannis and hope that the Bucks don't make their threes. If they do, they're a hard team to beat. Right. And they're much like Miami, they're a great defensive team.
Hmm. Well, these games are, assuming that the Grizzlies win tonight. Every game, every series is going into game 6.
Yeah, we got series. We got series with all of them.
It's all 3-2. Yeah. So, cool. All right. Well, we'll definitely be by the time we're doing next week's show. We'll definitely have.
You guys think Phoenix still wins that series?
I do.
Yeah, I do too.
I do. I think I think Phoenix is still going to win. I think Miami's going to win. I think the Bucks.
So it's going to be Miami, Milwaukee, Golden State, and Phoenix.
Phoenix, yeah. That's your final. Those are your semifinals.
I think so. Yeah. I think those are going to be 2 great.
It'll be a great series.
Yeah, great
Absolutely.
series.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you guys.
And look, I need to say something about Nikola Jokic and the disrespect he gets from the national media. Yes, Joel Embiid had a great year.
Everybody,
but you cannot. The fact that he won it is a testament to the fact that for some reason his talents get diminished. Mm-hmm. 2,000, 1,500. Enough said on a team where the second best player is Will Barton. Yes, Jokic is great.
Disrespecting Will Barton?
But how? Well, Will Barton was a big part of this team this year. But and instead of coming out and scoring 40, okay, against a team that doesn't have a center to guard him.
Right.
Well, they kind of do in Adebayo, but Embiid takes 12 shots and scores 17 points. So, and I get it. Embiid's hurt, and if Embiid won the MVP, I would have congratulated him and said he deserves it. But I'm not even as a Nuggets fan. I'm not. I expected him not to win it because of the disrespect and the lack of attention that this team gets in the NBA nationally. Right. The fact that he won it with the current state of the people who vote on the MVP, I think is a testament to just how talented this guy is. Right. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think the other guys should have won it, but my second pick over Jokic would have been Giannis. Mm-hmm. That's it.
So, well, the media, obviously, especially around here. I mean, I'm less than an hour from Philly, so forget about it. They were. You should have seen some of the things on Twitter and.
Sure.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was like Joker actually stole the MVP from Embiid.
Yeah, I mean, all
You
he
can't
did
use Philly as any sort of a benchmark for
No.
sanity.
Not so much.
It's just not.
But
All due respect to anybody
the
from Philly watching.
national media.
No,
the
you're a
national
bunch
media.
of jerks, Philly, and you're insane.
And look, there's a little bit of bias against Jokic. He's European. I'm gonna say it. He's white. He's can't jump over a curb.
Mm-hmm.
You know he won, right? You should be
Yeah.
happier.
They made a movie
I
about
am
that.
You should be happier than you are. Right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if, Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith can go suck it.
Right. I think you've said that before.
Yeah. Well, it's true.
Yeah.
It's as true today
It's true as it was then. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, all right. Do we have a over under tonight?
Oh, we don't want to talk about hockey? Come on. The Rangers are about to lose. Maybe.
The Rangers are not about to lose.
Rangers
They
are
just
winning,
won.
yeah.
They won
No, I
5-3
know, but
tonight.
still, is anybody on that team going to make a Game 6 prediction?
Well, can we talk about the only team that swept in the first round?
Do we need to?
Why don't we go ahead and talk about it? Go ahead.
Well, look, the Avalanche they dominated. I really hope that the Maple Leafs can make it past the fucking Tampa Bay Dingleberries or whatever the hell they are.
That was their original name.
Yeah, I mean they're up 3-2. God, I hope they can win that. The Blues and Wild, who the hell cares?
I do. I like the Wild.
Kings and Oilers. God, I really wish Edmonton would win.
Yeah,
and
there's a lot of Wild games on last week.
I'm surprised Boston's making a series out of this, but the Hurricanes kind of
I know
took care of that. I don't know. I'm just can we let's get Calgary in there. Let's get the Edmonton Oilers back in there. I'm surprised that Florida's beaten Washington. I know Florida had a much better regular season record, but that Capitals team is a tough team to beat.
Yeah. There could still be a Florida team moving on, which doesn't seem right. Although I
wouldn't count on Tampa Bay. I mean, they could come back and win 2 games.
No, honestly I kind of like Tampa Bay.
I'm just rooting for the Maple Leafs.
But yeah, you kind of have to. I can not root for the Maple Leafs.
I don't know. And look, good to the Rangers. They come back. Look, they can make it. They made it a series. If they win one more, then it's a one.
They got to go to Pittsburgh to win Game 6. They got to win.
That's all right.
In the PPG Arena. So
that's okay.
They
won one of the first 2 games in Pittsburgh, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
If they can do it, if they can win Game 6, look. Here's my prediction. Ready? Here's a bold prediction. Ready? If they can win Game 6, I think they win the series. I think they win Game 7.
Ooh.
If they don't win Game 6, they're not winning the series. That's a bold prediction.
That's you're really going out on a limb.
Going out on a limb saying that, right?
I think if they lose Game 6, they got a chance at Game 7.
All those years of algebra are really paying off, John.
I carried the square root of pi, and
carry the 1. Yeah. Carry the 1 till next year.
All joking aside, I think that if they can pull out the win in Pittsburgh in Game 6, I think they win Game 7.
I think the Canes wrap it up in Game 6. I think the Maple Leafs and Lightning go to 7. I think the Blues wrap it up against the Wild in the next game.
I don't. I think the Wild are going to win Game 6.
Okay.
I want the Wild. I'm rooting for the Wild.
I think the Oilers are going to beat the Kings. I think that's going to go 7 as well.
I'm wearing a Twins jersey. I got to go with the Wild. Right?
Yeah.
So.
I hope the Rangers lose.
We could have 5 series then that go 7 games.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be great, actually. So, but
the Stars are up 1-0 now.
1-0.
There you go.
Can Lanny McDonald come in for Calgary?
Why not? Yeah. Bring him on in.
The Dennis Miller of sports radio.
Exactly. All
right. Grizzlies have held the Warriors to 56 points with 7 minutes left to go in the third. Mm-hmm. When was the last time that happened?
Maybe never.
1973.
Jeez, right. 95. Are the starters even in for Golden State?
1974.
Who knows?
They're up by 39.
They're up by 39. I think they just took a day off.
Klay Thompson's playing. Draymond Green is playing. So Jordan Poole is in there. So we'll see.
There you go. So, all right.
Yeah, at least these guys. I don't know if you looked at the box score for Milwaukee and Boston. I think they each had just 8 players. Everyone else was a DNP.
Yeah.
No.
And if there's any team that can come back from 39 down in the third quarter, it's the Warriors.
Yeah.
The Warriors.
Well, look, Moses Moody hasn't gotten in the game yet.
Well, yeah, unless it's Moses Malone, they're not gonna.
Moses Malone is actually starting goalie for the Wild. So.
Yeah, Moses Malone, man, what a great player.
Anyway,
and hey, I just Bob Lanier passed away.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And I thought Kareem Abdul-Jabbar paid a pretty nice tribute to him. Of course, he did mention that they were linked together, especially because of the Airplane movie. But where he goes, you tell your dad to drag Lanier up and down the court.
Oh yeah, that's right. For 48 minutes.
But yeah, Bob Lanier was a great player, man. The NBA had some good big men back in the day. Let's just be honest. I am a little bit nostalgic for it. That was even before my time, but I remember Bob Lanier in his later days still trucking down the court and rolling over people.
Sure. Absolutely.
One last NBA thing. It's kind of ridiculous, but it's entertaining to watch Winning Time, the HBO series about the Lakers in the 80s. It's a bit cartoonish, but entertaining. I'll leave it at that.
Gotcha.
Watch it, and we'll discuss it another time.
You got it. We'll watch it. That's our homework.
Jerry West, I believe, is not happy with the portrayal of his character, but
although he's sort of getting redeemed. Same thing with Kareem, but I think Jerry West is suing them. But,
I believe so. Yeah.
Jerry West sort of plays the neurotic, forever Laker who is kind of a hero in this thing in a weird way.
Right.
But that's not accurate. But it's interesting to say the least.
We'll have to take a look at it.
And when you have John Riley playing Jerry Buss, what could go wrong?
Oh yeah.
What could go wrong? So, all right. Do we have an over under?
We do.
All right.
This is not from the shelves of wonder. This is from the
desk of wonder.
I like how you have a very kind of moody, dark studio today.
Right.
Yes, I got the fluorescent light bar going, and
it's very much like a Al Qaeda. It's very Guantanamo-ish.
You don't want to know what's going on behind me.
It's very Al Qaeda.
That's a pile of clothes on the bed. It's not. It's a box. Anyway, so as we've established, I have a number of ailments, and I take a number of medicines.
Oh, we're gonna have more pills again, huh?
So I have. This is empty, but I have a whole bunch of these. I think I have 3 weeks. 21 of these, and what's the other one? And 21 of these.
Gotcha.
Wow.
And this is the daytime pills, and this is the nighttime pills.
21 of each.
So when I
21 pills or 21 bottles?
No, bottles. And I open them up, and I put all the appropriate pills in.
Gotcha.
The ones I take in the morning, and then I have 21 bottles of ones I take at night. So obviously, I've taken my morning pills.
Gotcha.
But this is tonight.
The morning after pill?
Not this.
Take it while you can.
Yeah.
This is my evening pill bottle, which has a number of medicines in it.
Gotcha.
And I'm not even sure how many it is. Anyway, should I don't know if I should shake it or not. I'll shake it. To prove that there's more than one.
Gotcha.
So the over-under is not a half.
All right.
So anyway, there are a number of medications in here, and maybe some vitamins as well.
Okay.
A few things. So that we'll be deciding. You'll be picking how many different pills are in here, and then we will count them out live on the air.
Yeah.
So I'm going to set the over/under at. Now, I have hypertension, also known as high blood pressure. I have atrial fibrillation, also known as irregular heartbeat. Cholesterol is actually pretty good, but I do take medication for that. And what else do I take? Vitamins, a few other things. Now, I don't take all of pills for all of those things every morning and every night. Some are
in the morning, some are in the night. Right.
Right. Some there's a pill for each. And blood thinner. Throw that one in too.
Gotcha.
So, there's a number. Some are in the morning, some are at night. So there's a couple that are actually both. So anyway, just to let you know. So I'm going to set the over-under at 4.5.
In that bottle.
In this bottle. This will be my night.
Shake it again. Shake it up and down. That's a tough one. Do it again one more time that way. Just the turn. Slow. Okay.
They give you too many hints.
All right.
4.5.
Open it up and count it.
And then I'll tell you definitely.
I'm gonna go under. I'm always wrong though, so just pick the over. And
I'm going over. I was going over before you picked under. So if you picked over, we would have been picking the same thing.
I bet there's 5 in there.
All right, so let's.
I hope there's 4 though.
Do this here. What's the best way to do this? Yeah, I'll just do it. I don't know how far I can tilt this down before the camera falls off. Yeah, that far.
There you go.
Oh, wait, I could do
You could hold your hand up instead.
All right. So we got this one.
Right.
Which is for whatever, I don't know. 2. 3.
4, 5.
4.
And a half.
Vitamin D makes 5.
That's not a pill.
It is.
That was a half of one. I think it was a push. I think there was actually 4.5 in there.
There you go.
That's a vitamin.
I said there were vitamins.
Oh, you did not. You said
He did. He did.
All right.
You were too busy looking at your screen, probably looking up medications. Or trying to figure out what my ailments were before I listed them.
No,
let's see. Is there a pill for obesity?
Well,
all right.
It was close.
It was close.
And I will say this. 2 of those little guys I didn't hear in the shake. So
right.
Very well done.
Well, here's the thing. The vitamin D.
I like how the vitamin D prompted the football screen to come back on.
Well, depends on what you say.
That's
The
right.
vitamin D is a soft gel.
Well, of course it is.
So let me see if I can. I'll drop this on the table. We'll see if we can hear it.
I heard it.
It makes
Yeah,
sense.
but not the typical.
If anybody's tuning in right now, they're
Like,
calling the authorities.
there you go.
What is going on?
It's a guy in a dark room counting pills.
He's selling. He calls it vitamin D, but I'm pretty sure it's speed.
Well,
All right, so there
All
you
right.
go.
There we go. All right. All right, folks. On that note, we will wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with a video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Continue to watch the basketball playoffs as well as the hockey playoffs, and, of course, the Major League Baseball season. And don't forget about pickleball. Very important.
CBS Sports Network, pickleball.
CBS Sports Network, pickleball.
Right.
There you go. Got to watch it. All right. We'll post next time we know what's going on. We'll post it on the Facebook page. You can click a link and watch it.
Go Maple Leafs.
It is. So there you go. Anyway. All right. Enjoy, folks. We will talk to you soon. Take care. Cheers.
Bye.
Who's going to be a better analyst, Romo or Brady?
Brady.
Brady.
Is that a bias against Romo?
No.
No, it's just Brady will excel at whatever the hell he does.
Mm-hmm.
Just another reason to hate him.
There you go.